Anyways, without further ado, I'm just going to get started with the run. So. Alright, so I'm going to start the run right away here, so let's get going. Alright, so right off the bats, most of the cutscenes in this game, you're actually going to be able to skip them, just by pressing start and then hitting the little skip thing that appears in the top right-hand corner. And that saves a decent amount over the run, over watching them. Any like cutscene that's separated from the actual gameplay, you'll be able to skip.
So for movement in this game, Hornlitz is basically going to be rolling around. However, there is just a general mechanic that if you roll 4 times in a row, you'll get dizzy, and you'll probably see this a couple times throughout the run. It's very hard to go a full run without getting dizzy. I believe in you, though.
Maybe this will be the first.
Typically, we'll be rolling 3 times, waiting a bit, and then continuing to roll again. But dizzy basically just makes us stand in place for like a second, 2 seconds. It's really obnoxious. Try to minimize it as much as we can. But for the most part, that's how we're going to be moving throughout the game. And this is mostly just to get the tutorial stuff out of the way.
So right here, I'm entering the very first cave of the game here. This is where we actually get our sword that we'll be using for pretty much the entire run. In order to get the sword, you have to solve this little puzzle where basically you need to write a number on the sign, and your fairy Sela tells you what the what it actually is, like what the puzzle is to solve it, which is how many trees there are on the beach line. But of course, the number of trees is always the same, so I can just write the number, which is 7, and get the sword right away without having to go count them.
So the sword training here is rather simple. First we'll start out with like a targeted attack, and then it will transition to a slash attack, and it'll transition to a spin attack. The target is pretty simple, you just tap them. Slash, you just kind of slash them. The spin is the harder one. Spin, you try and stand in between 2 of them at the same time, and you can actually get 2 of them in 1 spin. There you go.
Yeah, it's a bit of a precise position you need to stand in to get the spin attack into both of them.
Alright, so coming up is the first cave, or well, second cave. First, like, actual, like, puzzle cave. All the puzzles throughout most of the caves are set, and the solutions usually stay the same. Don't think there actually is one that changes, but for the most part, you will need a key, and the switches are pulled in the order. Pull the second one first, first one second. Oh gosh, the numbers.
It's 2, 1, 4, 3.
Yeah, but doing this will give you a small key, and this will just let you progress. Although this is a very hard trick, he's going to be grabbing a pot here.
No, I'm not.
Not going to grab the pot? Alright. So instead he's going to be pulling a block 3 times, or are you doing the guaranteed method?
No, I'm doing just 3 times.
Alright, 3 times. So pulling 3 times puts the block in the pathway of the rats. The guaranteed method puts the block right between the right where he spawns. Okay, he got good RNG. That can be a bit of a troll.
So right there, I was actually taking some intentional damage. I'm going to want a little bit of damage coming up as soon as I enter the Temple of the Ocean King, because I'm going to be doing a death warp out of it after I get the sea chart, and it just saves a little tiny bit of time. And by being at 1.5 hearts, that sets it up perfectly.
Yeah, the damage ranges are 1.5. There's a route for 2, but it's ever so slightly slower. And then there's a route for like half a heart, but you have to grab a heart still. 1.5 is the perfect and the fastest health range for the death warp. So just a little bit of story to progress. through the game. You're trying to find Linebeck, and Linebeck apparently can't be found, and only is found in the Temple of the Ocean
Oops.
King.
Well, rip the no dizzy run.
Ooh, okay. I just looking at where you are. Yep, that's the common place to get dizzy.
Yeah. One thing to note about this game is that whenever you go through loading zones, your dizzy counter doesn't reset, or like your roll counter rather. So if you do like 3 rolls in one room and then go to the next room and roll immediately there, you'll dizzy still. There are 2 loading zones that are an exception to that, and they're both right here. This loading zone and then the one a little bit further forward. But yeah, every other loading zone, it'll keep the roll counter through. So you kind of have to keep that in mind.
There are more exceptions to it as well. Interacting with objects will also cancel a dizzy animation before it starts. Or just in general, if the map on the top screen changes, the dizzy counter will not progress through loading zones. But for the most part, that doesn't really matter as much. So you're just trying to keep track through loading zones. This is the Temple of the Ocean King, by the way. Linebeck's stuck. You have to kind of just hit a switch and you'll be free. Throughout the dungeon, until you get the Phantom Hourglass, you'll be taking a quarter further damage every so often. Unless you're standing on the safe zones. So for the most part, these are pretty straightforward. The solutions are all intentional until later on.
Yeah.
And normally we have to go, well, not normally, but we have to go fast enough that the cycles are all set up properly. So
yeah, there are a couple of spikes that are on a global timer once you get into the room, and we just kind of have to move at a fast enough pace so that we can not get hit by them. Like this next one, I'm just going to be like running right through it as it goes down. Right there. I've died to that spike there before, and it's so embarrassing.
Me too. So this is the southwest chart. This is the first chart that we have to get up for. And this will grant us access to the Temple of Fire, as well as Melita Island and Mercury Island. We're going to the Isle of Fire first. Oh, and there's also another island, but whatever. We'll get to that later on.
Yeah, so right there was the death warp I was talking about. It just brings us to the front of Temple of the Ocean King a little bit faster.
Fun fact, there is a 1 frame before Celia talks, so you can save and quit, but unfortunately saving and quitting is way slower than a death warp. So, it used to be the old method, but death warp turned out to be faster. A little bit of lore.
So now that we have our sea chart, we're just going to go back to where Linebeck's ship is, and we're going to sail off to the first island. Also, another thing that I should bring up is that whenever there's a ledge, I'm usually going to try and do an animation that will let me skip jumping off the ledge. So the 2 most common that I'll be doing is a roll and a slash, or like a stab. And that will basically let me skip that animation. It just saves a tiny bit of time there. So right here, this sea chart has a bit of a secret on it, basically. There's, right in the bottom corner there on that one island, there's a hidden little emblem there that you have to scratch off. And I don't even know how it works, really. It's just... you just kind of have to scratch it until it works.
I think you have to scratch a certain amount, like a certain percentage, and it will give it to you.
Yeah, I feel like there might be more to it than that, but I don't know.
It's definitely not timed, because you could just scratch the same area as much as you want and it won't complete. But for the most part, throughout sailing sections, we will be jumping, unless you're not going to jump. You're jumping. Okay, good.
Yeah, I always wait until you start moving a little bit, just because the jumps at the start don't really do anything.
But jumping saves 1 to 2 frames per jump. It is very minimal, but there's roughly 22 jumps from the starting island to the Isle of Fire. So right there is 22 frames saved. Let's see. It's very minuscule, but over the run, when we jump a ton, it is a lot of time.
Alright, so here we have the Isle of Fire, I believe it's called, or something like that. I don't remember the official name, but yeah, this is this is where the first dungeon will be. But we have a few things that we need to do first before we actually gain access to the dungeon. So yeah, first we got to go over to the right side of the island and talk to KO, except he's a ghost right now, so we kind of just have to talk to his ghost.
First, I
yeah.
have to pay respects. Rip
Have to pay
KO.
respects.
KO, I think, in the story locks up Astrid, and he regrets it and tells you how to unlock the area. And the secret basically are these torches that are going to be pointed out very shortly.
Yeah.
And there are 3 of them throughout the island, so you're supposed to go find, but thankfully they're all in the same spot.
I think KO actually locks up Astrid just because there are a lot of monsters on the island now, and so he wants to protect her, and then
Right.
something like that.
So this will be the first instance of a forced fight. The door behind us will lock up and there will be enemies throughout the room. In order to complete these rooms, you'll have to defeat all the enemies in the room, and luckily there's only 6 Octoroks here, which can be taken care of with a spin attack or a jump attack or 2 slashes. Nice fight.
Yeah, it was a pretty good fight. Alright, so right here, you may not have noticed it, but that was actually the first instance of the use of the microphone. The DS has a microphone on it, and this game uses it a lot. Not as much as Spirit Tracks, but it still uses it quite a bit.
There are many puzzles that use the DS mechanics throughout here, including one coming up like later on in the run that includes putting your DS to sleep.
I did not figure that out as a kid. I had to look at a guide for that one, I'll admit. Oh no, I hit the wrong option. So right there, yeah, she gives you 3 options there. You want to hit the top one because that's like the honest answer. I accidentally hit the middle one, which is the complete blatant lie, which just adds a few text boxes, but it's not really anything major.
Yeah, throughout the majority of the run, whenever text comes up, you're always going to be choosing the top option. There's only like 3 instances where you're choosing the bottom option, excluding the Goron questionnaire. That doesn't count as options. That's a questionnaire.
Yeah.
But text in this game, whenever you tap once, it will load the text immediately, and whenever you tap again, it will clear the text box. So generally, a file name doesn't really mean a whole lot as well. So you can name your file whatever you want.
It actually does a little bit, because there are some text boxes that include your name that are very short, and so they will sort of completely load before you have a chance to tap and load the whole thing.
Yeah, but there's only like 2, if you want to say frames.
That's all it is.
So another instance of the microphone here coming up, there'll be these little torches. What you have to do is you kind of have to blow into your microphone to produce sound, and it will cause Link to blow. Just a simple little puzzle. It gains access to the temple, and it'll be used throughout the temple as well.
And also, I actually, right during the blowing animation, I did an attack, which just gets me out of the animation a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Forest fight here. That was pretty good.
Let's see. I always have delay, so...
Yeah, there's another thing that we should actually mention. In order to roll in this game, you actually have to... The game tells you to draw little circles around the edges, but you actually just have to Okay. You have to put the stylus at the edge and then move it in a little bit and then back out, and then that'll do a roll.
Yeah, I did some, like, pseudo-tasking. It wasn't, like, full-out tasking because you can't really task this game. It's way too difficult.
Yeah, it uses too many DS mechanics at this point.
Yeah. Rolling, you basically have to create a square by the edge of your screen, not a circle. So you just need 2 points to denote the square. Well, 3 points, rather. 1 start, 1 for the opposite corner, and 1 for the other edge. but that's all you need to roll. And again, if Link ever gets dizzy, that's just the roll mechanic. They didn't really want you to spam rolls in this game, so every fourth roll, Link will get dizzy, and it just wastes time. It's something you have to keep in mind throughout running.
So earlier I brought a pot upstairs from the bottom floor, and what that just let me do is it let me throw the pot onto the switch, and it just saves like 3 seconds or something, not even.
It's not that big of a time save, but it is very simple to execute, and it's much rather. It's fairly easy, so free time save is always nice. So now we have a boomerang. The way the boomerang works is you just basically draw on your screen while you have it out, and the boomerang will follow the path you use. This is mostly just for hitting switches out of the way, and we'll have some clever uses later on for the boomerang to skip a couple floors. Very clean.
Taking a little more damage than I want to, so I'm going out of my way for a few hearts a little bit.
Yeah, thankfully this temple in specific has a couple hearts just like in your path and like corners that you can just kind of pick up. So it's not too bad, but it is something you have to keep in mind that you don't want to take too much damage, because you will, if you do die in a dungeon, you get sent back to the start of the dungeon. So yeah. Let's see how this rat is. Oh, and yeah, for a little bit of sake, I am delayed because Twitch.
Twitch delay,
Nice,
yeah.
right?
A lot better. I kind of missed him once though. That was my fault.
That rat's kind of picky. Before
Actually,
you used to,
just did that go out? No, it didn't.
Oh, you're doing the purchase.
Sorry, yeah.
when...
Just the other day, I had a run actually with that rat. I killed the rat right as he was going inside his little hole there, and the key fell out of bounds.
Oh no.
And yeah, I had to reload the room, and it wasted a lot of time.
Never seen that happen.
That was the first time I'd ever seen it.
You can actually get the key without opening the door, but that's like a task-only thing. It's with using the boomerang mechanics of the fact that it can like hit things if it doesn't hit a wall, but it's very, very. You can't do it RTA.
Yeah.
Yeah, first using your sword, you either draw a line, well, you either draw a line or draw a circle, or you tap the enemy. Circle will give you a spin attack, lines will give you slashes, and then tapping gives you a targeted attack or like a jump attack. But usually through this temple, we'll be jump attacking or slashing depending on what the enemy is, or using the boomerang. Boomerang really doesn't do damage. It does do some damage, but not a whole lot. It's mostly used for like stunning or like carrying flames to its location or hitting switches.
So,
yeah,
as you can see here with the boss key, I'm picking it up and then throwing it a bunch. The reason for this is because your movement with the boss key is extremely slow, and so it's faster to actually just throw it and then do a roll to the other side of it, pick it up, and then keep doing that to wherever you need to go, over just walking normally, because, yeah, your movement's really reduced.
I remember seeing that strategy used all the time online for like the force gem stuff. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Speedruns.
Oh man, remember the online for this game? Ooh.
I remember when it wasn't dead. I used to play it all the time.
Yeah, I even played it a decent amount. Mince, I think I missed a few.
Alright, so for this boss uses the top screen a bit. He splits into 3 portions. There'll be a minion with 1 horn, 2 horn, and 3 horn. You want to combine them from 1 to 3, and then once you combine them, you stun them with the boomerang, and you jump attack into 4 spins. What this stun does, it allows us to get 1 extra hit in, and it allows us to do just a tiny bit more damage, to the point where you can do a very quick cycle, quick recycle rather.
Doing 4 spins actually is a little slower. If you just do slower spin attacks, each spin attack will actually hit twice, and so you get more hits in.
That's what I meant by 4 spins, but I was on autopilot. Shoot.
No, it's alright.
Yeah, spin attacks in this game, even in Spirit Tracks, you can get 2 hits out on them. This game it's way more lenient. And you hit with the start of the animation and the end of the animation. Spirit Tracks you can do that as well, but the window to hit them in is very, very, very short. But for single target DPS, usually the double spin is a lot more efficient than, say, a jump attack or slashing. There will be bosses that are like hit based, and there will be bosses where we need to do a bit of crafty stuff to kill things. But for the most part, double spins are if you want to do like lots of damage rather quickly.
So now that we're done with this island, we get to basically start the kind of mechanic of this game that a lot of people casually really hated. And that is you need to go, after every single dungeon, at least in the first half of the game, you need to go back to the Temple of the Ocean King and get another sea charge, or at least get something in the Temple of the Ocean King. And so you have to do a lot of floors over, and a lot of people casually just hated that. But the cool thing with the speedrun of these is that each floor has its own, or it has like, I guess, shortcuts in them that you can use later on when you have more items, and it makes it interesting going through a second time. So you're going to be seeing a lot of interesting strats over the run in the Temple of the Ocean King. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the run, just the whole thing, just because of how much it varies between visits.
Especially after like the second temple where we go from, no, not that one. After Cubit Sisters where we go from the top to the bottom in one go.
Yeah, it's really fun. And I'm not even joking about that, like it is. It's my favorite
tricky,
part of the run.
But it's fun.
It's tricky, but it looks really cool. There's some really cool strats that I'm gonna be using later.
And there's even going to be kind of breaks in the area, even starting now. They're very small and minute, but they're not intended solutions in a couple floors. Yeah, you'll be using pretty much every item that the game gives you, except for the bomb shoes. Bomb shoes kind of don't get a little love. Unfortunately, they get outclassed by the hammer, and you'll see that way later on in the run. But bomb shoes do get a little love. They get 5 uses. No joke on 5 uses.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you can even cut one of them out. Like, you can even just not do one of them and use the hammer instead.
You can actually cut both of them out.
Oh yeah? Oh, I guess that makes sense, yeah.
So, if you could skip bomb shoes, you could skip bomb shoes, but unfortunately you need bomb shoes for a boss fight. So we get the Phantom Hourglass. The whole gimmick to Temple Ocean King is, without the Phantom Hourglass, you will take damage, and so you have a timer, and you're basically timed to get through these without a damage penalty. Thankfully, for a speedrun, we're not slow, and that 10 minutes probably won't go down past 7, or even 8 maybe. I can't remember how long this takes. It's
well, honestly, like, even if we had this amount for the entire game, I'm pretty sure we'd still make it. Like, it's a very lenient time limit. Especially if you know the puzzles already.
So the game's going to be introducing us to the Blue Phantoms. Blue Phantoms are pretty standard phantoms. They're just your normal everyday phantom. They get alerted when things around them break, and they get alerted when you want to confront them or hit them, whatever. For the most part, we're going to be avoiding them, except for this floor. We'll be getting caught at least once or twice. But phantoms generally will not be in our pathway through any of the solutions. We don't go slow enough to the point where cycles are necessary, because all the cycles are routed correctly.
And this floor, I actually want to be careful. If I lit those 2 torches there and then triggered the Phantom as the cutscene was starting, just on the Japanese version, the game would get the game would freak out and the camera angle would go really wonky and I wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. So I had to be a little bit careful about that. I've had that ruin runs before.
Mm-hmm. It's always a fun thing. So what Hornlitz is setting up here is he's dragging the Phantoms up to this small key, and hopefully if he's a bit fast enough, there he goes, he'll grab the small key and get hit by a Phantom. This will send him back to the start where he was. All he loses is 30 seconds and a heart, but really he saves 8 seconds RTA, because the Phantom Hourglass time doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The only instance where it matters is when you're warping back to the waypoint in a later portion, and even then it's like frames, and that doesn't matter here. So Hornlitz is going to do this little puzzle here, and then what he's going to do is he's going to get himself into a corner and use the boomerang's pull ability. When it comes back to you, it always has a hitbox, and that hitbox allows us to grab that key much earlier than we're supposed to. If it collides with anything, that hitbox doesn't actually it's not actually there. So shoutouts to Unintended Solutions. You'll see that later on the temple in another instance, but that spot in specific, we'll always be using the boomerang there.
Yeah, so that's really the first glitch of the run. Or, I guess it's not a glitch, it is an intended mechanic, but it's abused in a completely unintended way.
Yeah. Ben will be joining us a bit later. He's got to do some things before this happens. So, he'll be joining us in a bit.
Pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there's nothing I can really do while waiting for that Phantom that was right there. I want to open up that trap door just so that I hit him so that he's out of the way. Otherwise, he would see me.
Yeah, so B3 is pretty standard, and both iterations, or 3 iterations that we come through here, we'll be getting rid of the bottom southeastern patrolling Phantom. That sets up for the other Phantoms to be in very nice cycles, and that basically cuts out the whole stealth aspect of this floor. And once this floor is completed, we get the northwest charts, so we'll be done with Temple Ocean King for a little bit.
Also, I want to bring up at this point, because I see it in the chat there, I'm playing on the Japanese version. That is actually faster by it's between 2 and 2.5 minutes. Not because of text at all. I'll get more into them when the reasons actually come up. But yeah, it has nothing to do with text. It's actually just because of version differences.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 or 3 text boxes that text might be affected, but in general, that's not the bulk of the time save. Text in this game loads almost instantly when mashing through it, so. And so we only found out that Japanese was faster because I decided to buy the Japanese versions one day for testing. Fun fact.
Yeah, this was, I think, the first version of the game released, and so a bunch of things were still in a relatively primitive form. They were fixed for pretty much every other version of the game.
That's right, chat. Your messages are not safe. We see them. Be very afraid.
You hating on this game. It's the best Zelda game. Okay, even I don't agree with that, but...
So now that we have the northwest charts, we could go straight to the dungeon right away, but before we do that, we have to do a couple chores. One of them is getting a cannon so that we can protect on the sea. There will be many monsters spawning around, but with the cannon, that should alleviate our problems. And yeah.
This game is also really good because it tests your lung capacity.
No, Spirit Tracks tests your lung capacity way more.
Well, that too, yeah. right here, basically, there was on the northwest, or the chart that I just got, yeah, the northwest one. It was basically really dirty, and the point is we need to blow into the mic in order to blow the wind out of the way, or the dirt out of the way. So yeah, I can do it in one breath. So.
Sea charts, man, they get really dusty rather fast, especially when Dyson and Heavy Ocean King just in pieces. So right here is Cannon Island, very well, coming up. Still gotta sail to it for another second or two. Cannon Island, we have to make our way to the other half of it, and this is where you get the cannon. Basically, it's named perfectly for what you get. You even get the salvage arm later on, but for the most part, we get here for the cannon and the salvage arm. You're here like 5 seconds. It's not that much. But this is the first instance where we're taking a ton of damage. Hopefully, don't take too much damage, but it's fairly easy to go from 3 hearts down to just 0 hearts here.
Yeah, this area has a lot of damage.
Bombs, enemies everywhere. Rats. Rats are usually the most cause of your damage.
Whenever I use a bomb in this game, I'm generally going to be trying to slash it before it explodes, because that just makes it explode faster. But of course, the downside to that is sometimes you can get hit by it. And I'm actually going to be using that the damage frames that you get, or the invincibility frames you get from that, and some points, specifically in the 3rd dungeon. That's where they're mostly used.
Yeah, 3rd dungeon. I was trying to think of where those were, but yeah, that's right. Yeah, most of the rats here, rats can travel in random locations from wherever they spawn, and they can sometimes just travel right in front of you. So Hornlitz is going to grab a red rupee. Ooh. I won't talk about that, but the red rupee is the majority source of our rupees. Source of rupees for the entire run. We only need around 250 rupees in total. And 250? Yeah, 250. But yeah, deaths do happen. This area is not friendly. We only need 50 rupees for the cannon, but we need 200 to 300 for the salvage arm.
That was really bad.
It happens, dude. Cannon Island.
I got distracted for a little bit, and so couldn't really focus. I got really lucky with the red rupee. So I rolled into the tree that drops the rupee at a really bad angle. So the thing about it is, if you roll into it at the wrong angle, it will drop into the ocean and will be gone forever. I was very close to having that happen, and I don't even know what to do if that happens. So.
I think you'd have to get the 100 rupees on Merkay.
Yeah, I'm not anywhere near Merkay, but...
Is it Melita? I don't remember. Whatever the starting island
I feel like it...
100 there.
I feel like it would probably be faster just... Oh no, you can't even... Yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm glad it didn't happen.
Yeah. Typically you roll in from the right side, and the rupee would drop on the left side, but thankfully, by the powers of RNG and position, it landed a good spot.
Okay.
So now that we have the cannon, monsters will be spawning throughout the ocean. They usually spawn like 1 or 2 per spot, but they're always set locations. There'll always be a flying enemy, and past these rocks there'll be an Oct Rock as well as the Ghost Ship. And the Ghost Ship is what we're going to be having to follow right away. Unfortunately, we can't go straight to the dungeon right away. You could after your the first instance of the Ghost Ship, and once you follow it, you could actually get through the fog but we need a shovel as well to progress to the dungeon and even get to the dungeon. So we're going to follow the ghost ship here, and then after this ghost ship, it's going to warp us back out to the start and head over to go grab the shovel.
So yeah, this room right here, this is sort of like where the fog. You can liken it to like the Lost Woods, where basically you need to take a certain path through this area, otherwise you'll void out. But right here, the fastest way to void out is just kind of coming up over the rocks on the right, and then just like turning in right away there, and that'll set that'll like basically hit the loading zone that brings you back quickly enough. You know, I don't just do all this jumping for fun. It does save a lot of time over the course of the whole run.
Every, what, like 30 jumps is a second, so save the frames, guys. It does pay off in the long run. Yeah, you got some good random moves though. You're fine with money.
Yeah, so the rest of the money that we're going to need for the rest of the game is for the salvage arm. And the salvage arm has a bit of a mechanic where basically you need to blow into the mic as hard as you can, and based on how hard you blow into it, the guy will give it to you for a lesser amount of rupees. The lowest is 200 rupees, the next level up from that is 300 rupees, so usually every run I try and get up to 300 rupees with the random rupees after you buy the cannon. Just so that it basically makes it a little more consistent, because it is kind of annoying to get the 200 rupee mark. And right here is one of the first instance, and one of the only ones where we have to actually select no rather than yes.
If you don't select no and you do select yes, Lampic is asking you if you want to go back to sea because you don't really know what you're doing on this island. So if you select yes, you go back to sea and you waste like 10 seconds.
More than that.
10, 15, 20, 30.
Probably like 20, yeah. I don't think it's up to 30, but yeah, like 20 maybe.
It's a very, very easy mistake, and you can go on autopilot and always be choosing the top option. So like, normally people remind themselves to not do it. Even like I do it at times. So we had to talk to that guy in order to get access to this cave. You really can't go into this cave unless you get access because the guy's father, I believe, got lost or I think died here or something like that.
He ran away.
Ran away? We don't know what happened to his father. But either way, the father's missing and he went through the cave. And no one can go out the cave anymore. I swear there was some instance of the lore where someone died.
Really? I don't remember.
Might have been Spirit Tracks. Yeah, keys in this game are not nice.
Yeah, especially the keys that were by that little area that I was jumping across the water. Those are like the meanest keys in the second meanest keys in the game.
Was the first be Encourage Temple?
Oh yes.
I was gonna say, where else are they really bad? Encourage Temple.
Yeah, that one room.
See,
Not
we
looking
got the
forward to that.
shovel. Shovel, in a casual playthrough, you would go down and like find a map, so you find the way through the fog, or like the Lost Woods area. Thankfully, there is no story checks for it, so the pathway is the same every single time. But we did need the shovel to see progress. So enjoy this nice little sailing section of jumping, killing enemies, and drawing lines.
Yeah, coming up here is actually my least favorite line to draw. I'm pretty sure it's everybody's, just because it's so convoluted. It's not like it's a straight line or anything. with maybe even a couple bends. No, it's got like loop-de-loops and weird stuff all over.
And the worst part is if you draw it poorly, you do lose time because your boat follows that path. And if you try and cut the corners as like tight as possible, you might hit the rocks. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for RTA speedruns because it's really hard to draw.
Yeah, it's a bit of a convoluted one.
And if you're slow at drawing it, you're also losing time. But drawing it slowly and getting the path correctly with like minimizing your time like on the boat is the best option.
And this is also a good point to note that if you ever draw a sharp turn in your line, the boat actually stops for a little bit and turns, and that wastes time. But it's pretty much unavoidable in this part. I think I've never gotten it with 0. I think I've only ever once gotten it where there was one time where I slowed down. Yeah,
the hardest part I think is the loop.
Especially the loop.
And if we're really unfortunate, we might see beetle.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I still haven't determined whether or not it's RNG or if it's a global cycle, but Beetle kind of, the way he works is he kind of migrates to whatever screen you're on, and in this case, he will migrate, like right there, he just appeared, and he'll be going up into basically right where my line is, and so I think I actually got bad luck. I think I'm going to run into him, which is a little unfortunate.
You might miss him.
I don't think I've ever. You have to hit those guys twice, believe.
I think you might miss him. I do think it is a global timer, but it's not just a hard global timer. Because even Jolene later on doesn't appear immediately. True. Kind of appear at random. But they always spawn in the same location no matter what. That's the main thing. So like, Beetle here can be in your pathway, and it's very, very common to see him here.
So I'm actually right here. I'm actually stopping jumping just to lose those few frames, just to make sure that I don't really run into Beetle. I don't know if it will actually help, but yeah, no. Oh, maybe. The other thing is, whenever you get close enough to Beetle, he's gonna stop. Again, ran into him.
Hello, gamers.
Hey, it's the legendary Ben Stevens, 56.
He's here. I heard people were gaming.
Yeah, we're gaming here.
We better be. That's what I'm here for.
We're sailing, dude.
See, unfortunately, I got a little bit of bad luck there. That wasn't a very good sailing section, but it's really hit or miss, that one.
So right here's the Isle of Wind. The main gimmick to this island are the little air vents as well as wind pushing you back or forward. Wind blowing against you will make you go slower and reduce your speed basically to 0, or even just like push you back from a ledge jump. But you can also use that to your advantage if you're running with it to get farther jumps. Nice.
It's important during this segment to make sure that you're not rolling towards the wind, or
against it, yeah.
Yeah, because you actually would get pushed back a ton more if you're in a roll in the wind than if you're just straight running.
Yeah, rolling doesn't really get a whole lot of like acceleration. You get a whole lot of like acceleration at the start, which is why rolling's faster in like long-term movements. But because you're being pushed back during the roll, when your like speed is decreasing, you're just being pushed back. It's not fun.
So just earlier there, I did a bit of a roll off of the ledge there, which made me land on the fence. That saves more time than just going around the fence. There's actually a Sela text trigger just in front of it, and so it saves a little bit of time there.
So yeah, without the shovel we couldn't close up these air vents. It's one of the main reasons why we need the shovel. Is purely for the air vents, nothing else.
Is that better? Am I louder now? Someone told me I was too quiet.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time gaming right now.
Don't forget there are hearts between or on like. Yeah, you
I
good.
swear the dizzy counter or the dizzy thing lasts longer right now. I don't know. It's
I think it does too.
I don't know. It's just I keep dizzying, and I'm not trying to.
Hey, you gotta be careful. Can't lose 3 seconds anywhere. 3 seconds is a lot of time.
I've already dizzied like 20 times.
I think you just
Maybe
like
not that many, but
3 times before we got off the first island.
yeah.
Dizzies happen. It's just something about this game you can't really avoid unless you're a god gamer.
One dizzy can cost you the record.
Oh god, it's
Oh
true.
man.
Gotta be careful.
How
Ben
close is
Stevens
it?
has he lost the record, or he has a 3:20:18. I have a 3:20:15, which is just 3 seconds faster, which would be the amount of time from a dizzy. So
I don't know if I ever got dizzy in that run. I don't know.
so that just means I'm better than you.
Well, I mean, regardless, it means you're better than me.
Or was it one Cubist sister ball?
Oh shit.
Was it RNG that affected the run, or was it actually execution?
I lost the run to RNG. No, it was early game. Early game is way too hard in this game.
I don't know. I think early game's consistent and easy. Well, somewhat easy. There are parts of it that are hard. The late game just has a lot more time loss sections, I guess.
Both of your guys' early games are like so much better than mine.
My early game would be like even better too. There's like so much RNG that can happen throughout the first 3 dungeons. There's 4 dungeons actually. That sometimes I'm like even 3 minutes by my best just for no reason. But early game is probably the hardest section out of the entire run. The later sections, like there are more tricks to them and they're like easier to execute. But the early sections are more based on like how you can control like fights and enemies rather than actually going faster with the tricks.
Yeah, early section's a lot more of like optimization. Well, I mean, the whole thing's optimization, but like it's a lot more movement.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
So one thing that I didn't note about this game is that whenever you want to switch an item, it actually doesn't interrupt gameplay. So pretty much every single time that I switch items, it should be a seamless transition, and it makes it a lot faster.
Shout out to Spirit Tracks making you have to come to a full stop.
Did they change that because of the boulder thing? No, that's something else.
Which boulder? Oh, the
You can clip through boulders in this game. If you by like pulling out the map or something.
Yeah, you're gonna see that actually later on.
I think they did fix that in Spirit Tracks. I could probably pull up my DS or something.
Yeah, they did.
But I can't.
Fix it.
I'm commentating.
They did fix it. Dude, speaking of Spirit Tracks,
Is Ben gonna sell himself out right here?
it's a game. Make sure to tune in tomorrow at this time.
For the Zelda game with the best soundtrack.
Yo, if you like trains, soundtrack, and entertaining
anime.
train.
Don't forget Anime Boy. Yeah, that's a big one.
Do we have Anime Boy in the chat? We do have Anime Boy in the
We
chat.
do, yes.
Heck yes.
Everyone, let's see those anime boys.
All right, so now that
you like trains.
Now that I've done this this area here, I can go and get the item of this dungeon, which is the bombs. And I'm actually going to be using the bombs a ton throughout the run. They're very useful. Which, well, starting right now.
Um, something to note is actually in the first room of this dungeon, you can actually do a skip to get to the boss room like instantly. But if you do that, you can't get bombs, and that's like really bad because you need them a lot in this run.
And if I remember correctly, the trick to doing it is also really, really annoying.
It's actually not that bad. What you need to
Really?
do,
Okay.
it's kind of stupid, but you can buffer it. You
Oh,
you
that's
need
fair.
to have you need to push a block at the same time that you die. I think it's a 2-frame trick. So you need like a snake head. They're called ropes in this game, or they
Yeah,
called
ropes.
snakes? I don't know. You need a rope to kill you on the same frame that you push a block, and then you can move around while you're like pushing the block, even though you're not touching it. The block kind of just moves on its own. It's really funky, but you can use that to like clip up to the boss key, like right up to this area where he's at right now.
The only issue is you can't actually put the boss key inside because you need bombs to get to the boss room. Developers thought ahead. Rest in pieces.
I think there's some way to. I think you could use one of the bomb flowers.
Really?
From the puzzle before. Yeah, you can get
Oh,
into
yeah.
the boss room, and you can fight the boss and beat the dungeon, but you don't have bombs. So like the rest of the run is just like you get stuck. You get stuck very fast.
Let's see.
A weird look I haven't seen before, but I was able to handle that.
So yeah, this boss fight, just throw bombs onto his windmills, or not windmills, cyclones, and it will shoot the bomb up to him, and the fastest way to damage him here consistently is just throwing bombs. Bombs do like 30 damage compared to a sword slash, which is like 10, so it's like triple the damage of a normal sword slash. But yeah, unfortunate RNG here.
Sometimes when he's standing like right under a cyclone, he's like actually not directly underneath it, and it just like barely doesn't hit him, and it's so stupid.
I was really nervous about this fight because I actually just had a run yesterday. I reset to this boss because the luck was so bad, and I was just hoping I wouldn't get bad RNG, but unfortunately it didn't cooperate. And I'm actually even going to go over here and get a few more bombs first because I have 0 and I want some.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I like to leave this dungeon with like even 3 seems like it's not many. I used to like to leave with like 9 bombs or something.
Okay, that's a little much.
You can also pick up 3 bombs on the entrance of Temple of the Ocean King if you want. Like, not in the main room. When you first enter the dungeon, there's 4 pots that have 2 hearts, an arrow drop, and a bomb drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be going for that bomb drop.
No, I think I had 6. I think I'd like to leave with 6.
Either way, you still want bombs leaving this section. Bombs do speed up a lot of areas where you don't have to like use a bomb flower, or even if there's no bomb flower available, they do speed up sections. So for the person who asked a lot earlier, yes, we are getting the Cyclone Slate in this run. We'll only be getting 3 frogs.
3 out of the 6 frogs.
Yeah. And those 3 frogs will be a majority use of transportation throughout the entire run. The gimmick to the frogs, you do have to see them at least once and hit them with a cannon, while having the Cyclone Slate in your inventory. So we can't hit them preemptively. So now that we are going for it, we'll be able to unlock Golden Frog warps.
Dude, I like boats.
Dude, boats are amazing.
Hey, boats.
Did we ever time W versus the square?
I think somebody timed that a little while, or I don't know. We need to time that. I feel like it's probably just going to be about the same.
I think W is probably a little faster. Hey, were you trying to do the thing there where you instantly go into the port?
Yes, I was.
Okay, I'm just making sure you knew about that.
Gold is untouchable because of that.
I always try and avoid that actually, you know. Ever since Indy's run.
What
What
happened to
happened?
Indy?
You can soft lock on that warp specifically. I don't know what happens, but he
What?
soft locks. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it's in his like 6-hour run, and it's only 6 hours because of that soft lock that caused him to lose an hour. He's a
What?
cool dude though. If you want to see Indy, I don't think he does speedruns anymore, but he was a really cool dude.
He's a cool guy.
He mostly did like Skyward Sword and the occasional indie run, and also like other speedruns, but this whole like area is in the shape of a whale, and the whole solution to it is you have to hit the tail, spout, the flipper, and then the eye.
I hate this island. This island is impossible to do optimally.
It really is.
You either bonk into a tree, fall into the water, hit a statue an extra time, get dizzy, or get hit by a yellow chew. One of those things has to happen every single time you're on that island. Without, it just has to.
Or in the case of my run, all of them can happen.
Exactly.
The thing, there's also like there are so many enemies on that island. Like it's pretty much impossible to get through the whole thing without getting hit.
Also on the square versus W, a long time ago I believe Jason Goo timed it. That's why we only did the W, but I can't remember the difference, which is what I really want to know.
I used to get them both, but I don't think that's faster.
Yeah, getting them
No,
both,
getting both isn't faster.
but I really wanted to know that in case I like, if I know I'm gonna die to the pirates at Isle of Death, I get the Z1 or box, whatever.
I actually have a method that I'm going to be doing to pretty much avoid death every single time there. It is a little slower, but it's worth it.
Are you going around the other side?
No. I actually,
You go a little further south and you avoid the first section of pirates.
Huh.
So you don't take damage.
you have full health.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here we get the first golden frog.
And saving and quitting while on the ocean puts you back to your last dock points. So saving and quitting here puts us back to the unidentified island, or uncharted island, I think it was rather. And that just saves a bit of time, like sailing unfortunately is slow. But thankfully it like saves a couple seconds. Yeah. Sorry.
For some reason, people used to do no save and quit speedruns in this game, and I have no idea why. Because there's only like 2 or 3 save warps, and they only save like a minute or something.
That was the old Zelda speedruns, like, leaderboard, was just no save and quits.
Yeah, that was
Green
wrong.
was-
That's why Twilight
Green
Princess
was
has.
the only one that did save warps. And that was like 2000. I want to say 2008.
Yeah, I think that was wrong.
Or was
Maybe
it
a little later.
2010?
I don't think it was quite that old. Yeah, I'm gonna say it was more 2010 to
2014, my bad.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wait, no,
Just
what?
kidding.
I think he's come
Oh,
back to it
2013.
before.
It was submitted. I submitted it. Yeah, 2013. That was when Greenlink had his like 328 with like save warps, and that was
Okay.
the record for the longest time because no one had picked up this game. So shout out to
Then
Wasn't it
Oki
Greenlink.
came along.
Was not a bad run for the time.
No, it was a really good run. It was hard to beat.
Yeah, I don't think anything's really changed, but like,
Aside from just better optimization and then
a
JP
Japanese.
version, yeah.
Yeah.
What was that slash? Okay.
I'm trying to do a roll.
No, I was literally just holding
Nice.
this button.
I've
What
heard of
was
slash.
that?
Finding glitches live on ZSR Marathon. So
Yeah,
anyways,
then
right
this-
here is where we get into the shortcuts that appear. So right there, I was able to blow up a wall that kind of just lets us quickly go through this room. We don't have to go through the whole luring the phantoms and getting hit anymore.
The cool thing about Temple of the Ocean King, at least in a speedrun, is even though you go through these floors multiple times, I think there's only 1 or 2 rooms that you do the same way more than like once.
which is B2 is one of them, which is this one.
Yeah, this room
That's-
coming up.
Yeah, that's just
it's-
because we have the trick for it.
This
If you
this
didn't
room
do-
is the same more than once, but pretty much every room is different every single time you go into it because you have new items for new shortcuts, which is
Yeah.
really cool. I like that a lot.
This floor would have been different with bombs, but because we have the boomerang, it's the same thing every time. There's a blowable wall, or yeah, blowable wall. Wow, blowable wall.
Bombable wall.
Thank you, Ben. I can't speak English.
It's
There's a
okay.
bombable wall that puts you right next to the key, but because you have the boomerang, it's just the same thing.
This floor I don't like.
Yeah, this floor, it's not so bad the first 2 times you go through it, but
The
the third
third
time
time.
there's something that changes that makes it annoying.
Yeah.
No one likes B3.
I like it
think
when I
the
do
only-
it well, but
The only difference in this room, this time around, is that you have the shovel, so you don't have to pull that switch to make the fire on that staircase go away. But it's still different.
and it saves time.
Don't have to watch a cutscene. Okay, after this room, we'll be getting to the newer addition to Temple of the King. Now we have the what is it?
Dude, spoilers.
boss.
What?
Wow. I'm sorry. Want me to spoil the final boss is Bellum?
Dude, spoilers. Now I know
Man,
the final boss.
what am I gonna do now? Now, like,
I-
why even play the game?
Now I know there's a final boss. What the heck?
Or even that the main character's name is Zelda?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Honestly, I'm just gonna leave. See you guys.
So yeah, now that we have beaten the second dungeon of the game, we get another fairy, and that lets us get through to the next 3 floors of the dungeon. And right off the bat here, we're going to have another instance of the boomerang clip. This one's a lot more precise than the other one was, though, but it's still pretty easy.
I don't think it's any more precise. It's just like you can't see what you're trying to hit.
I guess.
The boomerang comes back to you at a blind angle, so you have to kind of position yourself like in an area where it's better. The other one you can just do it without thinking.
It's with the setup, it's not that difficult, but yeah, it's definitely harder. Phantoms are slow.
So yeah, there's this cutscene that plays if you let any of the phantom eyes see you. Oh, that was okay.
It's
Oh,
Yeah, I have never had that happen in a run before. That's okay. I think I know how to deal with this. I mean, just it's kind of the same as normal.
yeah. If you really go to this...
No, that's
You're-
not the same. Yes. I did this the
Oh.
wrong way. Just stop this, me. Okay.
this is a very
It did.
interesting.
Okay, well, I'm not meeting my estimate, I can guarantee that.
Ooh. This one is very tricky, and if you do mess it up, then
What happens if you game over again? I can't even remember.
start at Temple of the Ocean King.
Oh my god. I'm so sorry, guys.
That floor is particularly tricky if you do die. I don't remember the actual backup strat.
I don't think I've ever.
Had that happen either. I just didn't know how to handle that.
Learning things live. Let's go, boys.
That's just what
More
happened.
like redoing things live. So much time.
I think you just have to like lure the phantoms that are.
Yeah, no, I think I had the right idea after by getting seen by the Phantom Eye. I had the right
Yeah.
idea. I just ran and tried luring them the wrong direction because I, for some reason, thought that that was the right thing to do.
I think it'd probably be better if you got caught. If the first one saw you, maybe.
If you, yeah, the first one saw you and ran up instead of down.
The Phantom, like right at the start, I think. I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe not. I don't know. Well, luckily these first 3 rooms are pretty fast, with the exception of B3, which kind of sucks. But
B3 is at least consistent.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the same could be said about B4 as well. I just was. Idiot.
B1 and 2 are like pretty short, so B3 is like that's where the time loss is coming from.
Yeah, you just got unfortunate with the position where like the Phantom Eye stopped you.
Well, that's not even the issue. It's just I wasn't paying attention and I didn't see that the one Phantom was going through the the side there.
Yeah.
Because
Well, normally you
I couldn't go through it, so I don't know.
Normally you wouldn't have to pay attention to that though, so I don't blame you.
I disagree. I love the Temple of the Ocean King. I think it's a really good dungeon.
Honestly, I really like the Temple of the Ocean King too, but sometimes things just happen in it.
Oh, I was talking to a guy in chat. He said, I think we can all agree that we hate the Temple of the Ocean King. I disagree. I think it's great.
I love and hate it at the same time. It's
So
you
my
mess it
thing
up,
is,
it's so bad.
my thing is this like, at least like casually in speedrun, there's like the time limit, which is like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like time limit. And then there's the revisiting floors, and people are like, oh, I don't like revisiting floors. But like, I think together it's so good because there's the time limit, and then you revisit floors. So you're encouraged to like learn the floors, and like then you get new items and the shortcuts, and like you're encouraged to like be optimal, and I think that's awesome. But you know, to each his own.
For me, it was kind of hard casually because like I was the one person who would not stand in a safe zone while thinking through things, so my timer was always draining. So I would always end up dying because I would just be overthinking things.
See this floor done the way it's supposed to be done. So what I was trying to do earlier was I was trying to hit this guy so that he doesn't see me. It didn't work this time though. But if they don't see you, this Phantom here doesn't spawn. Now fortunately, now that I think about it, how on earth did that guy see me, or like follow me in through the back or the wind there? Because he should have been following me.
I don't know.
That's
weird. I agree. That cutscene skip is really hard. I like
yeah,
almost
I've
never.
only ever gotten it a few times.
It's the first Phantom Eye is pretty easy to avoid, but the second one is very difficult to shake.
Yeah, with the range of the boomerang, it's very easy to get caught because Phantom Eyes don't really catch you unless they're like on the edge of your screen, but the boomerang really only goes to the edge of your screen, so.
Where are these mini blends going? Okay.
Dude, they're going on a journey.
Normally they don't even move at all. Like they're kind of always
Most
just
of the time
same
they run at you. They come to you.
Yeah, pretty much. Right here, I'm gonna grab a potion that I'll use for safety in the next dungeon. floor. If you die in it, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
So-
dying in Courage Temple is very, very easy to do, so picking up the potion is probably preferred. There's a lot of like damage strats.
This door sucks. I don't like this door.
I accidentally tapped once, and then it thought I drew something.
Yeah. You actually
Dude,
got-
look. It's that puzzle that everyone talks about.
The one that I did not figure out as a kid.
The one that I got tired of and, you know, closed my DS because I'm like, man, I'm going to take a break. And then it came back and I'm like, oh. Nice.
Whoops, just solved the puzzle.
Yo, is this one spliced? I saw it go black there.
Whoa.
Right. I think I included the wrong video file at the start. I accidentally included the one with the death in Temple of the Ocean King.
How does that puzzle work on the Wii U? Do you just have to put your
You just bring up
DS
the
to sleep?
Wii U menu.
Yeah, there's a sleep function on the Wii U.
Did they change something to like?
It just simulates closing the DS. It just puts your
No, but
the-
I mean like, did they change like text or something?
I think so. Shoot, where am I going?
I feel like they have to.
salvage arm. Getting this golden frog too.
Thanks. Sorry, I blanked for a second. That's a really bad line. Normally it would actually be a very good line, but I actually want to get the golden frog that's right here.
Yeah, that might almost be close enough, but like,
You need to go a little
No,
bit down.
it's-
Going straight from Merkay to Bomb Island or Cannon Island. One of the two. It's a dumb island. Going straight from point A to point B doesn't give you the golden frog. Plus, it
Yeah.
doesn't spawn sometimes. It's really strange how like
That
the golden
happened.
frogs.
It's like random whenever he jumps out, so yeah. Anyways, right here we've got a mailbox skip. It's pretty easy. You just kind of have to be against the fence here, and then mailman won't come and say hi to you and give you mail.
when I've been
And make
playing
you sign
Spirit
for it.
Tracks, I've been so paranoid about those mailboxes, but they don't work the same. You actually have to like talk to them.
Oh yeah. So
Well, at least I had 300 rupees.
So this is the instance where you have to blow into the microphone. The best way to do it is like a really short and quick, or short and quick, loud and quick blow, and that will at least guarantee you 200 or 300.
Except for when I do it.
Okay, if you're using a 3DS mic, then
I wasn't. I was not using a 3DS mic when I was playing this.
Okay, with
Are
the
you
3DS mic, I can consistently get 300 or 200. With the Wii U one, I sometimes get like 1600 or no sale. But
I got no sale way too often with DS Fat. It's just stupid.
I remember getting no sale a lot as a kid because I didn't realize you had to blow in the mic. I just thought you had to make a sound. So I was like tapping the microphone and whatnot, but that didn't do anything.
Yeah, 3DS mics are really, really bad. But what I actually found out yesterday is you can hook a microphone up to the headphone jack and use that instead, and it's
Wait,
so
really?
much better. Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
It's like any
Any like 3.5 millimeter microphone works.
Well, I mean, I can't use my blue snowball, but
if you use the splitter, but once your blue snowball, it's not 3.5.
I actually did not know that. That's really cool.
I know. It's
I-
like I was so sick of messing up songs and Spirit Tracks. I'm like, someone was like, "Does that work?" And I was like, "Dude, there's no way it works." It totally
Someone
works.
pulled up a article saying it worked with like iPhone
Yeah.
headphones because they have like the defaults.
Oh yeah. No, I don't have any of those, but
Any microphone works.
Alright, so right here we get the Sun Key, which will let us enter the next dungeon. And that dungeon is actually on Molita Island. we needed to go to the Wayfarer's like true hideout there, and then there's a pathway. Excuse me, a pathway to it. But yeah, we couldn't actually enter it before because we didn't have the sun key.
Did you guys already talk about the sun key thing?
Not early Sun Key, no.
Probably no.
So, all right. So on this island that we're going to, the place where they got the shovel, right? That's the island where the dungeon is. Inside that cave where you get the shovel, there's actually a chest, like out of bounds and off screen.
Is that actually there?
It is actually.
I thought Green hacked it in that video.
No, it's actually there. There's a chest, and it has the sun key in the chest, and it's just this random ass chest sitting out of bounds, off screen in this cave. Like, why is it there?
Dev chest.
Yeah, it was probably for testing
It
or
is.
something.
It probably is, but they didn't get rid of it.
I mean, it's kind of like in like Skyward Sword, where there's just like random chests out of bounds too.
Yeah. So you would if we found a way to get up like on walls out of bounds, we could skip a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you would skip having to beat the second dungeon probably. I'm not sure how flags work in this game, so you might still have to. And you would enter the dungeon anyway for bombs, but you wouldn't have to beat the dungeon probably.
Yeah, I did it with Moon Jump on emulator. You could do it.
Okay.
Go moon jump runs, let's go.
Dude, Spirit Tracks Moon Jump run would be interesting.
Actually, Spirit Tracks moon jump runs, they were so cool. You can skip the whole trading quest for Real Ring.
No, do you know that the
Yeah.
Tower of Spirits?
I was the one that discovered that.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. Or at least made it public. I don't know if anyone else discovered it before me. I got this boss fight's just going on, we're just talking about things.
This boss
So
was
I have-
annoying.
I messed up this boss fight. I'm gonna have to jump, shoot, jump and shoot, jump and shoot. It's not working.
You have to be moving when he opens his eye.
Okay, that was a really
Or,
bad fight.
Just a hair bit too close.
You have to be moving when he opens his eye, or he'll just keep shooting at you.
Yeah, it's not actually when you're when he's moving, or when he's like, or when he. It's not when he opens his eye. It's like right before he opens his eye.
Yeah, just before. But I think you only need to be moving for like a couple of frames for it to work.
Oh really?
Yeah, you were moving a lot longer than I ever do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a relatively consistent way of doing it. I kind of messed it up there because my line was bad.
Yeah, so in this cave, all the way to the right-hand side, up on one of these walls, there's just a random chest with the key in it. Like, oh my goodness, it's so weird. So, someone find a way to get up on that wall. Thanks.
Preferably without cheats.
Yeah, that would be the best.
Why did I roll there?
That would skip the trip to Temple of the Ocean King, right?
Yeah, because you wouldn't need the sun key chest, so you wouldn't have to really do that at all.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't need the
And-
salvage arm either.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you could skip the
Oh,
salvage arm. Man, that would save
yeah.
so much time. Somebody find that. I don't like the salvage arm.
And then you could skip, like, having to get rubies.
Well,
Oh man, it's so good. Just somebody find it, please.
you'd still need 50 for the cannon.
Yeah, yeah,
there's-
but
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
you can get the 50 from the 200 where we already get it. So
Or the 100, whichever one you want.
I think the 100 would be faster.
yeah, the hundo might actually end up being faster.
I think. Do you even need any of those? I feel like
You aren't
no,
finding
there's
that many
no-
random rupees.
Yeah, you're not finding that many reds.
Unless you were
Right.
to manipulate enemy drops in like the
Yeah.
first dungeon.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
So right here at the start of Courage Temple, Courage Temple is a very annoying dungeon because there are a lot of strats that just take a lot of damage, and so that's the main reason that I got the the red potion in Temple of the Ocean King is because I'll be doing a lot of damage strats. I already had a couple where you get damaged by the moving like spike pillar things, and then you can just kind of clip right through them.
I never got that potion. I would just take this dungeon like a man.
Look who's boss here. Shall I remind you who has the record?
3 seconds. Wow, Boomerang is really good against those guys. What?
Yeah, it takes 2 hits. Ooh, I just rolled over the loading zone.
Heck yeah.
I never used Boomerang.
Nice.
That's hot.
Yeah, it's a hot strat. Now you can get records, see?
Now I get record. That saves probably about 3 seconds.
Cutting
The
out.
Japanese runners going to be doing a speedrun of this game tomorrow as well.
Robo
Another-
Pokey.
Huh?
You're cutting out there for a sec. But you're good now. Yeah, you're good now.
Alright.
You're good now.
The hidden boss being a person in Japan who's running this game. He's got a 323 already.
Wait,
Wait,
really?
really?
Yeah.
I'm scared all of a sudden.
Dude, gotta be careful with Japan.
I'm just gonna switch to Wii U VC. I gotta keep my, I gotta stay relevant.
No.
So that's one thing that we should bring up is that the Wii U VC version actually is a lot faster. Every single loading zone saves about 1 second, which ends up being a lot over the run. There's been no official timing yet, but I estimate it's probably around like 6 or 7 minutes over the whole run. But the reason I'm actually not playing on that right now is because I really don't like the Wii U version. It feels gross to play on, in my opinion.
Yeah, going from the handheld to the Wii U version just seems really clunky. Especially with like the layouts that you were offered.
Yeah, the best way that I've found to do it is like flipping it sideways and holding the gamepad vertically, and it's awkward.
Yeah. Even though it's faster, like I really don't want people to switch to it because like I don't want to. That just wouldn't be any fun.
Especially since JPVC technically would be the fastest.
Yeah, but we don't really have access to that.
Wouldn't there be a way though?
Well, there'd probably be a way, but we don't actually have the file or anything that we'd need. Or at least I don't know of anybody who does.
Meanwhile,
Yeah,
Courage
You could
Temple.
probably.
Meanwhile, Courage Temple. There we go.
Yeah, Courage Temple. Ooh.
So yeah, we got the bow. This will let us, well, beat the dungeon. That's the
Oh, are
item
you
of the-
not? Are you not hitting the switch from the other side?
Huh?
That's the
You
hot
can-
strat.
Yeah,
You don't
can
have
hit.
to.
Oh right, I forgot about that strat. I knew about that strat, but I forgot it.
I don't like that
Dude,
strat.
You don't like it?
No, I can never hit it.
No, you're talking from like the shortcut to the or not the shortcut, but like the hidden path to the chest there, right?
You just use your boomerang.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
How
and
can
I
you
just
not hit
folded
it?
this segment earlier. Like earlier yesterday or the other day or whatever. I could gold it by a lot more.
It's way easier because you don't have to worry about the centipede, dude.
Oh yeah, this room sucks. Really bad.
If you're able to do this room rather quickly, you can make an early cycle, but with Hornlitz's HP, I'm not sure if he's gonna get it quickly.
No, there's.
Nah.
Yeah, I missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ring you can
honestly,
take-
it's pretty luck based. Whether or not you can get it, because the Octoroks there just kind of move all in random directions.
Yeah, they can just move, they can just shoot, they can just not be clumped together.
You can get it. I don't think there's a single situation where you can't like get it, but
You have to react. But
it's all about having good reaction skills there at that point.
and
Also,
not
this
using arrows.
this right here, this sucks, dude. I hate this.
Yeah, so
Those
right there
keys-
is where the worst keys in the game are.
Those
They
keys
just.
can knock you off.
I got actually pretty lucky with their positions.
So, yeah,
So you can use bomb damage here to like go through that spike trap and then run through those zappy things because it gives you some invulnerability frames where you can just like go right through.
Yeah, it's pretty fun and useful.
This is the part where you draw pictures with the boomerang.
yeah, you've got to wait for 2 slow platforms.
Oh no, I dizzied.
Although-
Whoops. Well, there goes 3 seconds, except not.
Kappa. Although if you do draw pictures, there's a chance if you just let go of boomerang, you fall right off these platforms. So that's happened to me a couple times.
Also, one thing that I should mention, these enemies right here, they're called Pole's Voices. They do not really take damage until you've blown into the mic. And then once you do that, they just take 1 hit to kill.
Can you kill them without blowing the mic? I think
I
you
really
can.
don't know. There's no
I think-
reason not to, so...
Yeah.
I don't think you actually can.
Really?
They look like they take damage, but I don't know if they do. Anyway, so right here, there's... throughout the whole Courage Temple, there's this one like combination of switches that kind of keeps recurring, and that specifically is up, down, right, left, and so yeah, I have to do it again here. But the interesting part about this is that you actually control the platform with the map, not with like any sort of separate function that like comes up just here, which this is the only point in the game where it's used, and it's not a very good mechanic, personally. I don't like it.
I kind of
Sometimes this block doesn't like to follow your path, or like if the path is split, sometimes it just won't read it as a straight line and just kind of bounce back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not all that accurate sometimes. It's not all that accurate sometimes. But a lot of the drawing puzzles aren't all that accurate sometimes. Like the Cyclone Slate sometimes is so funky.
You can do things in specific with the W with the line above it. You can just draw a straight up box around the entire Cyclone Slate and it will read it as a W and put your next tile frost. It's very well coded, trust me.
All right, so here we've got Crake. He's the boss of this dungeon. He is pretty much 100% consistent. I regret saying that immediately, but hopefully it'll go well.
I don't think second phase is very consistent.
Yeah, so first phase he starts out with his shell. You have to shoot him once in the face to transition him to spin. You have to shoot little purple things off of his shell, and that will break his shell, and that will advance to second phase. Second phase is the hit-based portion of the fight. You need to do a total of 7 hits. If you're lucky enough, you can get a hit in with the bow just before he like moves away, and you can technically beat him faster. But it's very picky, and it only saves 1 cycle. But yeah, this boss fight's pretty quick.
Yeah, definitely probably the easy. I don't know. I think Blaz is probably easier, but if
Yeah,
you
I think
accidentally
Blaz.
miss shooting all of those purple things that were on Crake's shell, it actually, after a certain amount of time, he goes back to his first phase, and that's bad. Because the whole thing with the Crake fight is that basically what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to be able to tell where he is through the top screen, because it sort of shows his like what his where his position is in first person mode, and it's kind of hard to do because like he turns invisible, and it's really hard to hit him. It's annoying to figure out where he is.
Who's ready for everyone's favorite pirate?
Oh, baby.
Arr.
You mean Tetra?
Yeah.
Dude, I love Tetra.
Well, technically, you're gonna see her. So.
She's right in that cutscene if I waited long enough, but I'm not gonna wait that long.
No, you're gonna see her at the bottom of the boat.
Oh yeah, that's true. No wait, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Once you beat,
Oh.
You gotta do Ghost Ship first.
That's right. That's right. Whoa! Spoilers.
Oh,
Some
I'm
of
sorry.
these people might not have played the game.
welcome to my Let's Play. I can show you the game. So yeah, this is the Jolene fight. It is one of the more RNG-based bits in the game. She has a couple different things that she can do, and all of them but one waste time, and she doesn't do it very often. She always starts out with it, though.
So yeah, she's going to be charging up dash attacks, rather, and once she does a dash, you can actually hit her, and you have to hit her 3 times in this instance. But if you hit her with anything to make her jump back, she's forced to do an action, one being a slash if you're too close, or she can just do it out of random, and the other being the dash attack you want. So it's a bit of a manipulation, but it's also just to force her to do an action.
Yo.
Nice positioning.
Yeah,
That was
that
very good.
positioning is really good.
It was a decent Jolene fight. Also, Ben, you want to talk about that soft lock? That
Soft
Jolene
lock.
soft lock. God.
Oh yeah, what did I do?
You told me about it. Basically, if Jolene goes too far on the bottom of the map, there's a chance. I've never gotten it, but there's a chance she can clip
Oh.
out of bounds. Apparently,
I
or so I'm
clipped
told by Ben.
I clipped her out of the bounds with the hammer.
Yeah, and it's that literally just soft locks the game. You'd have to save and reset or something like that.
You fight Jolene again at like the very end of the run, like with like 20 minutes left after 3 hours, and I clipped Jolene's out of bounds and lost a lot of time on a decent run pace.
Yeah. There have been a lot of stories of just having really good runs near the end of the game, dying to just the dumbest things. I had a record pace run a while back that that crashed like 2 hours in. It was my fault. There is a consistent crash in this game, but yeah, it's I accidentally did it. It's easy to avoid if you know what causes it.
Yeah, I think the most like famous choke that I've personally done, and some other runners have, is going straight from the boat to Temple Yoshi King without getting the Phantom Sword.
I didn't do that. I actually, right after Ghost Ship, I forgot to go to Zeus's Island, and I got to the bottom of or like to the halfway point, and I couldn't draw the Triforce.
Yo, nice RNG.
Yeah, that was actually a very good split. One of the few good ones I've had so far in the run. Actually, some of the early game ones were decent, but yeah. No, that was actually very good. That whole segment there between finishing the dungeon and getting into the ghost ship is just a lot of luck-based stuff. The position of the ghost ship is random in that area.
I think he usually starts out in the bottom left corner, and then from there he can move wherever. And he can just move up or towards you. It's just not fair, because sometimes he'll just waste a ton of time.
Alright, so right here we get to the mechanic of this dungeon, which basically there are 4 sisters in this dungeon that have been kidnapped, just like Tetra was right at the start of the game, and we have to basically rally all of them up to this one point in the dungeon. And casually, it is the most annoying thing ever, but in a speedrun, it's actually really fun, I think. Throw.
I hate this section.
I don't like it.
I kind of like it, not gonna lie.
Like, it's cool when it goes well, but like spiders, just trying to be a little too fast can cause this. The thing you don't want the most is the Cubisters will stop in place, and you'll have to go talk to them to get them to move again. So yeah, that's the one thing you're trying to avoid. But for the most part, it shouldn't happen. But it's very, very common for it to happen, so I wouldn't be surprised if I see it at least once.
I usually can go without it, but given how this run has been going, I wouldn't put it past me to do that.
Yeah, most of the time I don't get.
Oh, well, instead I just got that instead.
Spider.
No.
Oh, she got.
Oh,
Yeah,
if you
no,
move,
this is...
if you
So
move
basically,
too far away.
yeah, if you
And-
moved... The Cuba Sister's
Wow.
too far off of the... I did it again. I am... Ben, please take over for me.
No, I'm not me.
Yeah, I'll do it. Give me a save file.
Been a little too long since I played this. All right, we'll switch. I'll do this. You do Spirit Tracks.
Can I get a JP copy?
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
I'll keep going.
it's an easy game. There's only 3 tricks.
Well, I mean, you got a point.
And then you've got like tower spirits.
But there's only 3 tricks, so it has to be easy.
Oh, obviously. So yeah, one of the things that made this part really annoying casually was that they're basically the equivalent of the phantoms in the Temple of the Ocean King here. They work basically in the exact same way, except that they can actually see you through walls this time. So it's a little bit annoying, but
they can?
it's not.
What?
I think that's the deal with them.
They can also go through walls. Like
I don't
if
think they
they're
can go
alerted,
through
they'll go
walls,
through
but-
walls. Especially if
Wow.
they scream. They're like kind of warp phantoms in a sense.
I had no idea. I
But
mean,
generally,
you don't even come close to getting caught by one in this run.
Yeah, no, really. That one that we just encountered actually is the only one we do encounter. And yeah, it's pretty easy to avoid.
if you do go too fast in that section, though, he will see you if you're like by that corner. That's the only
Yeah.
instance where you might get caught. But the only time you'd see another one is if you go to choose the Rupor chest, in which case it would spawn another one. But you never pick that in the speedrun.
Yeah. And there's another one on the bottom floor of this dungeon where if you read a certain sign, or I guess it's a slab of stone, that one will appear, but of course we don't bother doing that, so he doesn't spawn. And right here we gotta pull the switches in the correct order. It's 41523. Actually learned that. I think it's in this room, one of the signs.
Yeah, there's a sign.
There's a sign and there's a switch. The switch is the one that gives the phantom, I believe. Or is it the sign?
I
Yeah,
think the
it's the
sign
switch.
gives the phantom.
I think it's a switch.
Fight me.
You hit the switch, Hornlitz. Let's see.
Yeah.
Don't pick that one up. Ugh. It's happened 2 runs in a row now. I just pick up the wrong oil drum.
Yo, 1 rupee though.
You might need it.
I need 20 rupees for the rest of the game.
Do you?
You might fail the Goron quiz. Like,
That's a good point. I forgot to open up
Forever.
my notes for that, so...
oh man.
I mean, it's not too hard to memorize.
Yeah, no.
The Goron questionnaire, the first 3 questions are always the same. They're in random order, but it's always 6 yellow and ship. Or is it 14 yellow ship?
14, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
14 6 ship.
yeah. And then yellow and yeah, whatever. And then the 4th question, there's 3 questions you can pick from. 5th one, there's 3 questions you can pick from. And then the last one, there's 3 questions you can pick from.
But we'll
Right.
get to that in a hot sec.
We're
Yeah,
gonna be
in a
doing
hot,
that.
like, a lot of seconds.
We'll be doing that like blindfolded because it's Japanese, right?
So make sure you stick around.
What am I doing?
Mr. Gamer,
I'm just forgetting where all the spiders are.
sitting at your computer screen. Don't go anywhere, because things are just getting started.
They're
She
just getting
deserved
started
that
in the
medal.
sense that we're entering the most RNG heavy section of the game. Actually,
This is-
arguably.
This is kind of the point at which the first half and the second half of the run. After this, we kind of go into the second half.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say probably after Zaz Island.
Yeah,
Then
that would be
you're-
more accurate, at least time-wise.
Then you're kind of in the second half of the run. And personally, I think that's the better half. That's when things start to get.
The second half, I enjoy the second half a lot more.
I'm so much better at the second half.
Dude, because both halves are pretty good. I just hate traveling from northeast southeast chart to Isle of Dead. That section can just honestly die as well. Like all my runs.
So yeah, this whole Cubist Sisters fight is just a big tennis match. They can also shoot the wrong type of ball, which already happened once, and then that just wastes time. But yeah, it's just a really annoying RNG section.
There are 3 random elements to this fight, and that is the first is what kind of ball they shoot, because if they shoot a different kind of ball, then you can't reflect it. B is which Cubist sister gets hit, because basically what happens is each Cubist sister takes 2 hits, except for the last one, which takes 3 hits, regardless of whether they've been hit or not before. So basically, you want one Cubist sister to not be hit until the other 3 are dead, and so that's random. And then how many volleys you go, or how long the volley is also random. So this fight can be 2 minutes, or it can be 4.
I've actually
pretty good luck.
just the other a while ago, I had a run that lost 3 minutes here. I think it was just because of luck. It was just I got the worst imaginable luck. I got 6 or 7 of the wrong attack, and then I got the extra cycle, and the volleys were taking too long and everything. But ultimately, the fight that I just fought here was actually very good. It could have been a little better, but I didn't get the extra cycle, and a lot of the volleys were pretty short, so...
Yeah, it's only one
That was-
long
that was
volley,
decent.
but one long volley and then one blue ball. But that was really good. There actually is one thing that's consistent about that fight always, and that is the red shirt dies first.
This thing took a page out of the Star Trek
That was
book
the Star
of
Trek.
rules.
Yeah, the
Red
red one
shirt
always. Red one always dies first, and there's no, they don't put up a volley for the red one. It just gets hit.
Poor red shirt.
Yeah. Rip.
Right, so yeah, right here is where we learn about the true final boss of this game, which is Bellum. The old man kind of tells us who he is. For some reason, the old man was on the ghost ship as well. Now, right here, we need to go to Zeus's Island, which is an island that's not on our map yet. And the reason we need to do this is basically to go tell this guy that we need our sword upgraded to the Phantom Sword.
Is it not faster to do a frog work first?
It depends, I think, on where the position of.
Oh, that's right. And you were pretty close.
And I was pretty close, so that's why I'm sailing this time.
Actually, no, the position changes. Usually it's faster though.
To frog warp or to not frog warp?
To frog warp. There are instances like this one, I guess, that are faster.
We should time it.
Well, the furthest one, I think, possibly loses 7 seconds to a warp.
Oh, okay.
Because I timed that a while back, and that's why I always warp now. Oh yeah, shout out to that mailbox. You'll probably see it, hopefully, not see it ever again until after we come back to Zeus for when we leave. But
Yeah,
mailboxes, if you get close to them, they will start a dialogue, and that dialogue just wastes time. And that one in specific, if you take 1 step to the right, 1 step up, you will just get caught by it.
Yeah,
So you have to go
I've
down
hit
and
that one
around.
a lot.
That definitely wastes more than 3 seconds.
No, I didn't say 3. Did I say 3?
Oh, no, you didn't say 3.
Oh wait,
But
I get it.
3 seconds is all it takes.
I get it, dude. Phantom Hourglass is a speedrun, guys. Take notes, we're going fast.
All right, and actually one thing to note, earlier I mentioned that the Japanese version of the game was faster, but not because of text. Well, right here we've actually already seen some of the reasons why. Every single time you use the Cyclone Slate to warp, on the English and actually every other version of the game, there is another cutscene that plays. There's a cutscene that, like, where the tornado takes you up, and then there's another that puts you down. In the Japanese version, for whatever, the cutscene that puts you down just doesn't exist. So you save something like 7 seconds every warp or something like that.
That was
Might be a little
originally
less, but-
the only reason we thought that Phantom Hourglass was faster. So we were like, oh, it's probably like 30 seconds or something faster, you know, not much. But we later found out, I discovered that there's actually another difference that's kind of weird. That saves a lot more time than that.
Yeah, it saves like almost 2 minutes.
And it's JP exclusive.
Which
Which
I
is-
don't know why. It's a weird thing too.
Yeah. All right, so now we
Well, I
have
guess-
now we've got the last time that we're going to be coming into the Temple of the Ocean King until the very end of the game, pretty much until we just do our final run through of it. And this is, in my opinion, the best run through because the strats are all mostly completely different, and there are some really cool strats that hopefully I'll nail.
It's definitely the hardest run through as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is
Especially the
definitely-
final floors.
The hardest Temple of the Ocean King. And
So one of the changes that happens. One of the changes that happens here is that most of the phantoms in the first 6 floors are changed with what are called swift phantoms, where basically they just travel at a faster speed. That's the only difference that they have. But that actually completely messes up our strats, especially for floor 3. That one you'll see me do a lot of something completely different.
Thankfully, P2 is exactly the same because the first Phantom is still a normal Phantom.
Yeah. Well, even if it weren't, it would still be the same
Just-
strat.
You just get caught and then you just sit in the corner and the Phantom will just leave you alone because that corner, for some reason, the Phantoms don't like. But yeah, last time you'll see this floor. Goodbye, floor.
So now this floor, all of the phantoms were changed with swift phantoms. So unfortunately, we have to do a much different strat, and I don't like this strat as much. It's a lot more difficult, and it just feels a little slower. But it's definitely cool if you can nail it down.
So the thing is, Phantoms can be stunned by shooting them in the back with a bow and arrow. We're going to be stunning one of the Phantoms here, so that we can kill them off later on, as well as setting up the Triforce piece, or Triforce gem, to be in a good spot so that the top Phantom doesn't catch it. Swift Phantoms will go around and pick up items on the ground, and if they take your Triforce gem, it's basically just you have to go get it again.
which is awful.
Yeah. But now that this one Phantom's dead, it's just from here on out, it just cycles.
Yeah, so the rest of this floor is pretty easy. So. That was pretty good.
Yeah, the floor went pretty well. That's kind of what I want to happen throughout the whole run, or this floor. That's just I got the strat.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Also, luckily, you won't have to be worrying about B4 either.
Yeah, B4 on the revisit is a lot easier.
B4 is so much easier on the revisit.
Like, you remember all that stuff that happened to me, that there's pretty much a 0% chance of that happening. Simply because we can shoot that eye right there, and that turns off all of the fans on the floor. And so, literally, I can just kind of get the key, wait for the Phantom to go a little bit past, and then just kind of run in behind him. And then Boom, that's the floor. That was very easy.
Yeah, even if you did
Floor
get caught
5
there,
is...
even if you did get caught there, all those fans are off. So
I think I intentionally get caught.
I got the
Yeah.
quadruple! I got the
Did you get the
quadruple
quad?
hit! The quad hit! Oh man, I never get that.
I hate that so much. It's so hard.
oh my gosh, the boomerang has a very small hitbox, and there is an instance where all 4 of those bubbles will line up in like a line, and you can hit all 4 of them. And Hornlitz actually got it, so props to him.
It's a really precise shot there.
Yeah, these, I believe they're mole worms, dying with just 1 arrow, so they're not really much of a challenge. Are you going for a double safety potion?
Nah. I don't need the second one, I still have the first.
So yeah, this chest does respawn, and you can get a second red potion, but since he hasn't 1 potion already, not gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
This is another floor that is the same, but I mean, it's only for like 10 seconds. So.
Yeah. And right here, if I hadn't have gone to Zeus's island first, I would not have been able to draw the Triforce there. And I wouldn't have been able to get into
Triforce.
this.
Air quotes.
Dude, nice Triforce.
Like I said, this game's very funky about how you draw things sometimes.
Well, yeah.
You could
I mean, I guess
honestly
it's
just
like an upside down heart, but
you could honestly just draw a triangle with a line in the middle, and it will say it's a Triforce.
so I just want to check real quick. Okay, I have enough arrows. If I didn't have any arrows, there was an arrow drop in that room that I would have gotten. But I have 7, which is enough for at least the first part. There's an arrow drop later on.
So now that he's talked to that skeleton in that room, he can do a warp from the first room in the dungeon to that room. It's like a shortcut. So he no longer, when he comes back the last time, he doesn't have to do all of the rooms before this.
But even if he did, there's still shortcuts with the later items, like
Yes, there are.
but speedruns, we don't have to do that anymore.
I totally forgot what the strat was for this room, so I'm just going to reload it.
Yeah, you don't want to mess this room up. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Fortunately, there's a loading zone right here. I missed it, really? Happening.
This is a very tight strat. What we're trying to do is you're trying to throw the boomerang behind the phantom and then hit a switch, and it sets up the cycles perfectly to the point where the platform comes towards us. But we also don't want the boomerang to hit the phantom as well. If it hits the phantom, it kind of alerts him and like messes up his rotations. So that at that point you just reload the room and the cycles will be back to normal. But doing it this way ensures that we can just take this gem from right here to the staircase without any problems.
Yeah. The main reason I kept resetting the room, though, was because the Swift Phantom actually will get in your way if you don't reset the room, or if you mess up a little bit too much. Plus, the blue Phantom kind of turns towards you after a little bit, so I just didn't want to mess around with any of that, because I did not want a repeat of floor 4 the first time I went, or floor... Yeah, floor 4.
Yeah, floor 4. Floor 4, floor 4, floor 4.
Fleur? Flowers? What?
So coming up right here is a really annoying throw, except it's not actually that annoying because I found a consistent strat for it. You just need to turn around and then tap the other side of the gap there, and you'll throw it over like 100% of the time. And it saves a lot of time, actually. And way more than it has any right to.
Yeah, it's good.
So the main gimmick is for this section right here in specific is we are trying to take all 3. Yes, there are 3 gems we need. The 3rd gem is where we got the triangle as well. But we need all 3 gems, and this is There's a little like hidden pathway here you can stand on, and then if you shoot the back of the Phantom, you can let him and just kill him off, and he doesn't respawn. So this whole like upper section is now free to us, and we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, it's a lot better to kill that guy. I used to not kill him, and it was like, there's like no way to do it. He's so annoying.
Right. Oops, I did not need to throw that.
The sword power up that lets you possess phantoms. Yeah, you'll get that in like tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. p.m.
All right, so this little thing right here, we have 3 different types of blocks that go into these little pedestals here, but if I put them in a specific order, that actually lets me into the next 3 floors, and there's nothing that's stopping you from doing it. It's just a little bit harder to do, technically, except it's not actually, but...
What actually happens is in this room you get a map that allows you to get to the next 2 dungeons, and then after you get them, you're supposed to go back to Zaz's island, and he's basically like, yo, you got to go back to the Temple of the Ocean King and put those shapes in that order, and then, you know, go back out of the room, and there's more floors. But like, yeah, there's, unlike drawing the Triforce on that door back there, there's like no trigger for it to work, so you can just do it now.
And it saves like a huge amount of time to do it now, just because you don't have to go back to the Temple of the Ocean King or Mercury Island.
A, you don't have to go back to the Temple of the Ocean King, and B, you can do the dungeon slightly out of order, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, there's it was intended for you to do the what's it called, Miyuto's Temple last, but the item that we get there is kind of broken, so we're going to be using that to kind of break the other 2 dungeons.
It's broken, but it's also just flat out like really powerful.
Well, there's that too. Now, right there, I did one of my more favorite strats. I lured the Phantom that had the key. He's a warp Phantom, so whenever something sees you, it warps to that location. And I lured the Phantom that had the key over there. Was that basically let me hit him while he was over right in front of me and get the key from him, which basically skips the whole floor, which is really cool.
You like shot him from the side?
Yeah, their hitbox is weird.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble with that. I think that's one of the hardest things.
I personally do a bomb strat where I get invincibility frames from the bomb, and I can pick up the key and or still stun the Phantom as well. It's like a safer version, but there's really no like good way of doing it. Just cause like, if the Warp Phantom comes to you at a really picky angle, it's hard, even still.
This floor sucks.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to set up the Phantoms in a way that they don't like mess with you.
I mean, there's a good way of doing it, but if you mess it up, there's really no good backup.
Yeah. But thankfully, once you get the top 2 switches, the other 2 are fairly easier to get.
Yeah. Right here, there's a cool bomb throw where you can hit a switch that's off screen, and it moves the platform over to the final switch we need to hit, and it saves actually having to go over there on the lower floor, which actually works out a lot better with the cycles.
And it's a lot safer because you don't have to go past the Phantoms. You can just run across.
Yeah.
This floor is hard, I think.
This floor is good. I like this floor.
So this floor will have to get 3 Triforce gems again. It's important not to get caught by the first Phantom Eye. Doing so messes this up with the cycles of the Warp Phantom in the center. But every time we open one of these chests, a new Phantom spawns, and we'll have 3 different Phantom types on this floor. The normal Phantom just doesn't do anything. You can just shoot him. But if
There's
we
actually...
what?
No, you can go.
Yeah, so the Warp Phantom, if we didn't get hit by that Phantom Eye, he's right there, and you can just easily get him.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait a bit before I open this treasure chest, because opening this chest spawns this next Phantom, and I want to lure the Warp Phantom over, but I had to wait for him to actually respawn. So I'm gonna get seen by the red guy intentionally. That's going to make the Warp Phantom warp towards me, and then I'm going to shoot the red Phantom just so that he doesn't get in my way. I'm gonna cause the other guy to spawn, and I'm gonna throw the Triforce piece right in front of him. And what that does is it makes him see it, he picks it up, and then he warps away. And that
like
saves having to walk back. Like,
This is like
I
one
love
of the
this
best
strat.
strats.
It's so good.
I like that
I'm so
strat.
glad I got that. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite strats in the game.
It's so good. It's so creative.
Why is this not going in?
Are
Okay.
you on the stairs?
I was on the stairs, but you can still do
It's-
it on the stairs. I think it's because the Triforce pieces were in front of it.
Yeah, it's because you're touching the pieces, not the thingy, the pedestal.
All right, and with that, we are done with Temple of the Ocean King for the next, like, hour and a bit. So, rejoice, because it's over.
And when we come back, we have all the items, so we have all the shortcuts. So it literally is over in like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think all of those floors that he just did after going the Triforce door, I think you can do all of them in like 4 to 3 minutes or something like that. It's like over half as fast. Or twice as fast. It's really good.
It's fast.
Do you have enough arrows? Or
What do I need arrows for coming up?
Stalfos or just likes? It's not really that important.
Yeah.
You can use bombs as well in the likes.
I usually end up using bombs, and I have a decent amount of those, so... Alright, so now we finally get to move on to the rest of the game, and this part of the game is my favorite, because it's got a lot of really cool stuff in it. This is where the sort of glitchy half of the run starts. The first half is mostly just movement optimization. Second half is glitch optimization. Well, not quite. There's a lot of movement as well, but yeah, there's a lot of you're not going to see a lot done in the proper order here.
So right after that, just little like thing. You could just sail directly east, but Hornlitz is intentionally going a little bit further south, and this just avoids having to fight one wave of pirates. We only have 4 hearts here for the entire sailing section, and we run into 2 sets of pirates, and pirates tend to do a ton of damage to you, roughly like 2 hearts on average, and you kind of have to get lucky if you want to do like go through the first set of pirates and the second set of pirates.
I was just tired of losing runs here, so I just was like, I wonder how much time it loses to go around them. And I timed it, and it was like 6 or 7 seconds, and I was like, I'm doing that. I will take losing 7 seconds over losing like 50.
Especially because you die to the ones like at the end of the sailing section, in which case you have to sail all the way back, which is like.
Well, you can warp to the halfway point, but yeah.
It's still sailing is relatively slow.
No, last I checked, boats can jump like this. I don't know what you're talking about. Completely realistic.
Just look at Wind Waker.
Yeah, that boat can jump too. It must be real. I saw it in 2 video games. Too bad trains can't jump though. I'm sorry, Ben.
Yeah. Wow.
But do you have a whistle?
Yeah, you don't have a whistle, dude.
Oh man, well, I guess you got me there.
You can't whistle to the other trains. Dude, in Spirit Tracks, at the very beginning, there's like a passenger train that drives by, and he whistles at you, and you can whistle back, and it's like the best thing ever.
Oh man, I didn't even know that.
I know. He goes choo choo, and you go choo choo. Is it faster to go around that way?
It is a little bit faster to go around this way.
Really?
That and these ships don't follow you all the way there. So it's a lot safer too. But even drawing inwards, you can easily hit like edges and you'll get caught. And hitting walls while on a boat sometimes you take damage. So we're trying to minimize taking damage here as much as possible.
Yes, we're coming up right ahead here is the pirate fight that we all dread.
These pirates can even
well, it's
board
not
your
even a
ship.
fight, but oh yeah, and that wastes a decent amount of time.
Beats dying though.
Yeah.
These pirates are worse than the other ones.
They can be in a position where you do not encounter them, but it is very rare to see that happen.
I've never seen that.
I don't think that can happen unless you go get the box frog.
No,
But
it can
maybe.
happen.
Oh, okay.
They'll be. It's kind of like the ghost ship. They can move in like random directions. Their pathing is not the same all the time, but they can sometimes be like further out.
Right, so this is, I think it's called Isle of the Dead. I'm not actually sure
Yeah.
what this one's called,
Yep.
but
Isle of the Dead.
you're supposed to solve this huge, like, well, it's not actually that big, but you know, there's like this huge puzzle that you need to solve on this island, and it's actually pretty cool. But basically all it does is it tells you the solution to the path through this this whatever this is, a pyramid thing, and it's always the same, so we can kind of just skip the whole island.
Kind of another Lost Woods-esque like area.
Yeah. Oops. Right, so yeah, the solution to it is just up, right, right, up, up. It's pretty easy to remember.
The first room does count, by the way. There are times where
Yeah, I think the solution tells you to go. I think the solution says to go up, up, right, right, up, up, which I think probably still does work, but you can kind of skip that first up.
yeah, it'd be the same either way. Well, no,
Right.
actually, you would skip it. Yo,
Let's
Right
find
there,
a
we got
way-
the, we
let's
got
find
the
a way
Regal
to-
necklace.
Let's find a way to skip the cyclone.
oh yeah, the only reason why we're getting the Regal necklace, I believe it's called the Regal necklace, in order to get to temple where Muto's temple is, you have to bypass the cyclone, and the cyclone's only bypassable with this necklace. I don't like that Jolene position.
Nah, he'll be fine.
I think
He'll
it'll
be
be
fine.
fine.
Yeah,
Also,
he'll be
shoutouts to the Masked Beetle ship. So the thing about the Masked Beetle ship is that the normal Beetle ship turns into the Masked Beetle ship between certain hours of the day. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's between 11 and midnight or something, which it is that time for me now, so we get to see the Masked Beetle ship.
Oh yeah, she's gone. Never mind then.
Yeah, no, she doesn't really affect you there. I don't know where
No,
she went.
Jolene is totally consistent in this route.
Oh wait, yeah, it was because when you got the box or Z frog in this quadrant, she would get in your way. But now that doesn't happen. Sorry, I'm thinking of like really old English strats.
Oops, what am I doing? Keep thinking that after that tornado thing disappears, you have to redraw your route, but nope, you don't. So now this island looks very strange. Basically, the water level is raised. I don't know how. Like later on in this dungeon or in this island, you lower the water level. I don't know how you do that, considering this is literally the ocean. So I guess you're lowering the water level of the whole ocean. But yeah. So that'll just make the island look a little better. Right.
Changing the sea level is perfectly viable, guys. Don't worry. How do you think Spirit Tracks came to be? It only took them 100 years to change the sea level.
Right, so right here, we're actually going to use a cool strat. We're going to take this like right here, and we're kind of just going to knock him around with the boomerang until he's close enough where we can just kind of jump across the ledge and get grabbed by him. And that just skips a little bit of stuff. It doesn't save a lot of time, but it does save time. I don't like my health, so I'm going to be grabbing a bunch of health when I get into the pyramids. Use too much, I might just drink my the potion that I have.
Yeah, in the pyramids there's always heart drops as well as sometimes arrow drops. But these boulders here will wreck you. They are not friendly. They aren't even like cycle based. They hit them around randomly.
They're pretty
And-
random, yeah.
Yeah, they come out at random times, they move at random directions. When they hit a wall, they move at random directions, and they also have a chance to break if they hit a wall, and it's an RNG nightmare.
Chaos.
So unfortunately you had to drink his red potion, but thankfully there's not too many like areas later on the run where you do take a ton of damage. The only instance probably would be the final boss fights.
No, not even there. Honestly, the only other place I'd be worried about is an ice temple. I've had to drink it there a few times before, so
Like
that should be
room?
fine. That's a good question.
Because there's like plenty of heart pots like scattered throughout Ice Temple.
Oh, that's true.
It also
Okay,
depends on how many how many safety heart containers you pick up as well.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, so there's a couple frames where you can roll over a gap. It's much easier in like Spirit Tracks for some reason, but in this game your rolls are different. I'm not really sure why, but you can roll over gaps, but it's very, very picky and it's only frame saving. Yeah, I believe it's frame perfect, but I'm not gonna say it's frame perfect.
I think it is. Just with the test or the whenever I've done it in attempts, it seems to be a kind of frame perfect.
It's ridiculously hard to pull off consistently.
I'll go for
There's
once
only
more.
going for once more. There's only a few gaps that you can do it on. These two being the ones that people try the most on.
Yeah,
Yo, nice. Got one.
I only went for it once just because got it once, and I mean, by failing it, so.
So you have to get that key so you can lower the water level. So he has to go all the way back to the other temple. But There's a bit of a shortcut, so.
So yeah, now doing that, you lower the water level of the entire sea.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems normal to me. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but
Maybe the whole island's just a giant bowl.
Maybe.
maybe. I mean, there are rocks surrounding it, so I don't know. Maybe that blocks off the water level,
So yeah,
or maybe we're just
now-
thinking about this too hard. Back to
now the
game
wa-
theory with our epic theory.
Normally, in a casual, you'd probably jump down and explore the lower levels, but if you take the higher ground for a little bit, you can actually skip the lower ground, and that's actually faster than going through it for a fair bit. And saves like a couple of screen transitions, I think. But
Yeah, just a couple.
Um,
So now we're just making our way to the temple. But we have to visit another pyramid. We got to go to Max's temple first.
my boy
gonna-
Mac.
Yeah, my boy Max. But we're gonna Muto's temple, which is the dungeon. That's the big gold pyramid on the map. But literally, you only go into this temple to open a door, which is kind of pointless.
Yeah. I mean, there's plot significance to it for some reason. Like, you have to talk to all of them just so that they gain your trust or something and let you in, or I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it's like 3 trials that you're supposed to be doing, but either way, it's just like a fetch quest kind of.
Yeah.
Ooh, is the island being raised or the ocean lowered?
Oh man,
Whoa.
that's a good question.
That's a great question.
Somebody get MatPat on the line.
But that's just a theory. A game theory.
So the solution to this door puzzle is actually in that very first area of this island, in the southwest corner of it. In that like maze looking area down in the bottom after you lower the water, there's like stone tablets that tell you the solution to that.
Yeah,
But-
it's of course the same every time, so
So we just know it. Because we're that good.
We're actually psychic, guys, don't worry.
yeah, I've never
course.
played this game before, so anyways.
This is my first time watching, so please, no spoilers.
So right here, I'm gonna throw a bomb right at that switch. That'll activate it later because it activates this little bridge right here, which is on a timer, and I just need to be able to get across it. And
This
there will be the
room
same thing on the other
sucks.
side.
I hate
Yeah,
this room.
It's not great.
And this whole room is basically on global timers as well. Like there's platforms on the left side that are moving around, as well as just like the timers for the switch you have to keep track of. But generally, if you place a bomb by one, it should make like everything work perfectly fine. On this switch, we're gonna save and quit, and what this is gonna do is put us back at the start of the temple. But it's also going to reset the global timers, which makes the left portion way easier, assuming the keys do not get in the way.
Yeah, so all of this first part is like really tight. But looks like he got it, so that's good.
Yeah, it was fine.
Those keys can sometimes hit you into the void, and if you get voided, you kind of have to just
Pretty much
restart.
reset, yeah.
Either
probably
reset
faster,
or
honestly.
improv.
Actually, you know what I do is I stand on the other side of the platform. I take out my boomerang and wait for the platform to come back again, and I just boomerang the switch.
Oh, that's
that's
not
actually not
a
bad.
bad idea.
But you have to be like close to the like other side. You can't be like by the wall. You have to be by the void. So right now we're running towards the mini boss section for the hammer. Hammer is gonna be
Calling it a mini boss is a bit of an overstatement.
mini boss section being just another fight sequence with like 2 Stalfos and 2 like lakes, or just
It's just one like.
This game does not have very good mini bosses.
No.
Spirit Tracks has better mini bosses and bosses. The bosses and mini bosses in this game aren't very good.
Anyway, so now we have the hammer, and this is the most broken item in the game, and you will get to see that very quickly here.
This item is so good.
I
Yo,
love
the
it.
shovel?
Yeah, the shovel is
Shovel's
the most
broken, too.
You can crash the game with it.
But yeah, the fun thing about the temples, like any temple in this game, usually you only have to use the item you get in the temple. So you can do any of the 3 temples perfectly fine with the items you have. Like there's really no order to these temples aside from like how you do them. But here's the hammer glitch. Basically, that if you're close enough to a wall, you pull a hammer out and you bring it close to link. There'll be very few frames where the hammer actually is on top of the wall. And if you move your stylus past the wall in those frames, you can actually put it over the wall. It only works on certain walls due to like how close Link is or something.
And I think that's the only time you use the hammer glitch in this dungeon. It actually doesn't do a whole lot for this dungeon, but the other 2 dungeons, which you were supposed to do before going here, are very, very, very broken from hammer glitch.
Yeah. This hammer glitch in specific only skips a force fight as well as having to travel on a platform. So it's not too much of a time save, but it is still a sequence break in this temple.
Right there, I just hit a switch. It was a bit of an unintended way, though. The game designers just didn't do it, or didn't program this game right. Or they didn't design it right. Basically, you're supposed to hit or solve a puzzle and then hit a switch to open a door and then hit the switch, but you can just hit the switch before doing the puzzle, and the game's like, yeah, sure.
Another cool thing about these switch puzzles, you can stand on top of tiles, and you saw Hornlitz a couple times there. If you stand on top of a tile, it locks the tile into a state, and you can't actually change that whenever you smack it down with a hammer. So you'll see again on this puzzle, he's going to stand on one tile, and that should make the solution solvable within 2 hits.
Yeah. They take 4 hits and 2 hits each. Those 2 puzzles that I did.
I think you can do the first puzzle in 3 hits, but I can't remember the solution.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, before I was doing it in 5, and then just actually today I was like, let's see if I can actually remember how to do this properly. And then I got a 4-hit solution. I was like, oh, okay.
Let's get a supercomputer to solve this.
Yo, Google, can we get some like space on your servers to solve these puzzles?
Yeah. Can we solve Jenga while we're at it?
How do you even solve Jenga?
You find the combination that keeps the tower standing with removing the maximum number of blocks. Solve chess, please. Please solve chess.
I think they've already done that, actually.
No, they have not. We're not even close to solving chess.
Well, define solving chess. Like, actually, maybe not.
The best strategy, like the strategy that will win no matter what.
Right. Yeah, now that we have the boss key, we're just heading off to the boss of this dungeon. This boss is there isn't really a lot to this boss. Well, actually, there is one thing right at the very end of the last phase, but I'll get to that when I actually do it.
Yeah, solving chess probably won't happen in this century.
Hey, at least I can solve Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, this is Eox. Basically, he's got a bunch of these little red things on him. You need to use the hammer things on the ground to sort of shoot yourself way up in the air, and then use the hammer to actually hit him. But he's got a few of these little red dots in the dumbest spots. He's got one on the back of his head, which is really hard to hit.
Yeah, the spots in the back are the ones you want to prioritize the most because they will take the most jumps to hit them all. The most times you can hit the one in the back of the head in one jump is 2, and you need to hit it at least 4 times. So it's very common to just not be able to clear the head, and that's the one you get rid of the most.
TBH, I think the shoulders are worse.
Yeah, the shoulders seem to be worse.
Because he like does the turny thing where he like spins around, where he looks back and forth. I hate it. Oh, so close.
That was, yeah, that was pretty
That was
close,
pretty
but
good
it's-
though.
It went
That
pretty
was
well.
still pretty good.
So yeah, even though he cleared all the all the rocks off them, you still have to land once before all the buttons on them turn red. So he did have to use one extra jump, but still, it's pretty good. For this now, he's gonna wait for him to come a bit closer. He's gonna jump on top of him. He's then gonna swap to bombs, and this boss is hit based, so it doesn't matter how many hits you do. But if you bomb him, he will not knock you off, and you can abuse the invincibility frames. So you can just keep wailing at him.
It's a pretty good strat.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It doesn't actually save that much time because you can kind of just get back on his head really quickly. Yeah.
It saves like luring him away from the jumping portion and then just jumping back on his head. It's like 15 seconds. It's not a whole lot, but it's a fast strat. It's very easy. The window isn't too tight, but you can mess it up if you throw the bomb too early or too late, rather.
Hey, someone important who knows more than I do. Is ZSR Marathon gonna be page for its entirety or only briefly in intervals?
Alright, so right here we just need to hit the bridge that lets us back to the beginning part, and then we can head back to our ship and get onto the next dungeon.
Is the marathon gonna be on the front page of Twitch for the whole thing, or just like for bits and pieces of it? Just curious.
That was not a very good drawing, but it still worked.
So this next dungeon coming up,
Easily the most broken.
yeah, it's probably the most broken. But before you get on the island, you have to fight this enemy that's really stupid.
This fight is dumb. Basically, this is another kind of luck-based fight. It'll be this big, like, weird fish-type enemy, and it's got 6 eyes on it.
It's a sea whale. Wait, no, it's
A sea whale.
I forget what it's called. It's got a name.
It's
Eyeball
got
whale?
These names are very creative, don't worry.
On each side of it, and you need to hit each eye twice, but the problem with it is that he shoots out a lot of damaging things that sort of like draw your fire away, and so it's really hard to actually hit him that many times. I swear it's possible to 2-cycle him, but I've never had it
You
happen.
can. I've done it.
Can.
I came so close just the other day.
I've done it a couple of times.
So you can hit this guy twice as it starts. It's kind of hard, but you can. And you can also hit him as he's charging as well, and that makes things a bit easier. But even still, you can 3-cycle him or 2-cycle, whatever.
I just got
But-
terrible luck there.
Yeah.
So whenever he's doing his weird little spin attack type thing, he's invulnerable. You just can't hit him. So
Yeah, unfortunately,
It's,
one side has an eye that has 2 hits on it. If that eye only had 1 hit, he could still technically kill him rather quickly, but now he has to wait for the whale to come all the way back around. And now the whale has an eye on both sides, which means it just has to be a little slow fight.
yeah,
Now Hornlitz is just trying not to
low
die.
pay. There's really nothing you can do.
Yeah. At this point in the fight, he starts throwing like a ton of projectiles at you, and really, if you're just going to kill like 1 or 2 eyes, you're just trying not to die. It's
So
very
how
finicky.
anticlimactic that death is. Oh no, he has something. Just kidding. So normally during this part of the run, you have to take the Goron quiz to. You have to talk to all of the Gorons so you can take the Goron quiz so that you can get to the dungeon. But we can actually get to the dungeon before doing any of that. But the thing is, if you don't talk to all of the Gorons beforehand, I believe you lock yourself out of being able to take the Goron quiz. So he
Yeah.
has to talk to every Goron on this island.
Shoutouts to my very first run of this game. That happens, and I reset because of it. I
Yeah,
didn't
if you-
realize that you had to do that, so
Once you grab the Crimsonine, it advances the island to a further state where all the Gorons will be like, "Why do you have the gem? We didn't tell you could take it." And even though you can still talk to all of them, it doesn't give you progress to saying like you talked to all of them because the game's no longer looking for that. So yeah, it's a very easy soft lock if you don't know what you're doing in the sequence break. And unfortunately, it does take time to go talk to them all.
But the route you take to talk to all of them actually isn't that slow.
yeah, it's a
It's-
pretty good
it's-
route.
You don't have to go too far out of your way. The only like bad ones are the ones in houses. Those are the worst. And the reason you need to take the Goron quiz at all, even though you can get to the dungeon without talking to any Gorons, is because Linebeck won't let you off the island until you've taken the Goron quiz.
Yeah, it's really annoying, but that's just how it is.
You also need clearance off the island from the Goron Elder to actually take the Crimsonine.
Yeah.
And in order to get to that final dialogue, you need the Goron quiz. So you have to advance it far enough to the point where you can take the quiz, but we're not going to actually take it until after the temple.
Yeah. Nobody has really done a 100% run of this game yet. I've tried running it before, but it's a bit of a brutal route.
Hey, can you tell me what color those monsters on that ledge were? I seem to have forgotten.
Is this a trick question?
What number question is this?
Uh, 4?
So you can
I think
use
that's
the
the-
hammer there. That's actually kind of weird how it works, but it's really easy. You can like clip it over the side pretty easily and hit the switch. And that's supposed to be like the shortcut to get you back into it after you've already gotten to it. And that skips like half of the Goron Island.
These pots here are also very funky. I think SVA found these.
SVA?
It was one of
Really?
the like older runners. Or not runners, older glitch hunters.
I don't
Or was it
think
Kazooie?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Kazooie.
Yeah,
Kazooie
Kazooie
One of
sounds
those
like
two.
That would be
But
Kazooie
yeah,
sounds like it makes more sense.
those pots you can actually just walk right through the wall for whatever reason.
So you're not supposed to have hammer in this dungeon, which you've already seen. It's very glitchy, but it's also really good for combat. So these Armos Knights are like really easy to fight. Same for a lot of other enemies.
I think they're supposed to be defeated with a single bomb.
I think you're supposed to throw a bomb at them, yeah.
Yeah, and that would actually stun them. But with the hammer, you just hit them twice and they die. But anything that's floating around like these bubbles, a single hammer will kill them. And it's just like there's no alternative in the fights other than hammer at this point. Aside from when we get to like Isle of Frost, but yeah. There'll be a fight coming up right here after this Goron text, and you're supposed to stun the enemy with an arrow, but instead we're just gonna use the hammer, because if it even isn't clear, the hammer just does things better.
Right here, 3 of these rocks have rock chews underneath them, so I'm just going to activate all of them first, and then they've all popped out, and it just saves a little bit of time that way.
Yeah, nice bomb drop.
Yeah, I was really happy about that. I'm only at 4 bombs now, so
This jump you have to do is stupid.
it's 100% consistent. I don't know what you're talking about.
It is not.
I've never failed it, dude.
I fail that jump every time.
If you try to time the jump yourself, you can fail it, but it auto jumps.
Wait, it auto jumps?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, you can jump, like, you can tell it to jump?
Yeah, if you tap the screen, you jump.
Wait, how does it
Auto
auto
jump
jump?
it.
You just roll
You just
to the
roll
left?
towards the
roll.
ledge,
What?
yeah.
Oh my god. I gotta go check my PB and see if I failed that jump.
3 seconds, dude.
It's all it takes.
So yeah, right here we're gonna be using the hammer to actually skip using bomb shoes. It's 1 faster, and 2, it just
If
You
you
just-
kill all those snakes, a cutscene plays of a chest appearing, so you don't want to kill them all as well.
and
Playing this trick.
so right here we're going to be getting a bridge early, but in order to do that, we are rolling into this rock to orient our camera far enough to the left or far enough to the right so we can see the switch. And once we have our camera far enough to the right, we're going to pause using the minimap, and that will allow us to clip through the rock. And once we've clipped through the rock, there's one more roll we have to do towards the pits. And after that roll, it's pretty smooth sailing from there. It's just a matter of hitting the right pixel.
Wow,
A little high.
really?
Yeah. A little higher.
Okay. There you go.
You
Yeah.
can also, by pulling out the hammer, unequipping the hammer for around 1 or 2 frames, you can move yourself just a little bit closer to make it easier. You can just run straight into the pit and have to redo the setup, but it makes things easier if you're not confident on the angle and like swing orientation.
The reason that boulder clip is important is because if you move to the left at all, your camera is going to scroll to the left. It is possible to do without the boulder clip, but it makes it a lot harder. And it was actually discovered without it. And then we realized that you could use the boulder clip to make it consistent.
Yeah, are these ropes gonna let you go for free? Aw,
Stick one.
just 1.
Yeah, that was still pretty good.
Yeah. Those ropes in specific can all just ruin your day. Like, they can get into your path and there's just nothing you can do about it. You just have to use more bomb shoes.
And one thing
that-
about... Oh, Yeah,
There
that
you go.
that I just did to get over here early actually skips a legitimate glitch that we actually mentioned it earlier, where actually it lets us skip the boss key entirely. It's just unfortunately a little bit slower than the other method, which is why we call the trick that I did the boss key skip. But yeah, you would basically kill yourself right as you start moving one of the Armos statues, and that would let you sort of control it after you revive, if you have a potion, of course. And that then you can like have the Armos statue sort of push you through the gate, but it's really hard to do.
Yeah, that glitch in specific is a 1 to 2 frame window. Like, there's 2 frames that you can pause into where it works, but I'm not sure if the point where you tap the arrow is 1 frame or not. But this fight is pretty straightforward. You use the Goron to knock over King Dodongo, and then you use a bomb chew into his mouth to blow him up. You have to do this 3 times, and make sure to kill a rope before throwing a bomb chew.
There's actually something really weird you can do. If you're positioned in just the right spot, you can actually clip into the loading zone at the end of the fight with Goron. But if you do that, you'll actually soft lock. But it skips the fight because when you're in that room, you can't pick up the metal.
Well, the metal never spawns.
Yeah, it doesn't spawn, so you can't, because Goron Link isn't there. Only Link is there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't get it to spawn, so you soft lock. So that's bad.
You can actually, I think, leave the room, but you still can't beat the boss fight.
Right.
With the boss, if you were to come back, the boss would still be there. You just wouldn't be able to regress. But now, King Dodongo was defeated, but no longer is. He reveals a weak spot on his back, and basically we're just going to be using bombs, as well as spin attacks, to damage him very quickly, and this should kill him within 2 cycles. Damage is kind of a bit picky, especially with his bomb count, it might be a bit hard.
Oh, we got a bomb drop.
Oh,
Yeah, I got the bomb drop, so that was nice.
But yeah, you can do
I
3
think I'm
spins
wrong.
into a bomb, and you can just rinse, repeat that, and he'll die all the time.
Dude, this bomb luck. Oh my goodness. Oh my god, you got another one.
Got some really good bomb luck there. Those whatever they are, those enemies have a chance of dropping bombs. I don't believe it's a 50-50 chance. I think it's actually even less than that.
No, it's like
No.
a 33%, I think.
Yeah,
can
so
drop
I got
18
pretty
hearts or
lucky there.
bombs.
It might even be 1/4, because I think they can drop hearts, bomb chews, bombs, or nothing.
I think we might be able to see drop rupees, but in this fight they don't. So it might be even less. Who knows? Yeah, now that King Dodongo is defeated, we can claim our 2nd medal. This would have been our 1st medal, usually in a casual playthrough, but we got the hammer first, so this will be our 2nd medal. And we're gonna head over to the Isle of Frost afterwards. Oh wait, actually, we need the Goron questionnaire, my bad.
Oh man, don't remind me. I can't read Japanese.
I know all the answers.
Yeah, we have to go back to the Goron Elder to be able to do it. The questionnaire that he gives you is basically your test to become a Goron. So apparently Goron isn't a race, it's actually a cult or something. I don't know. So yeah, the first 3 questions are all the exact same. They're just in a random order. So the first one, what do we have here? That is how many houses are on the island, I think. This one is how many Gorons are there on the island. And then this question will be what color, or sorry, what is the guy looking at? And it's the ship. Now what's this question? What question is this, I think? Nope, that was not what question is this. Never mind.
So these are, yeah, these seem like they're random, but they're not. So basically, the first 3 questions are always the same questions. They're just scrambled. But you always get the same 3 questions within the first 3, and then the other 3 you have to get 6 questions right. The last 3 questions each pull from their own individual set of 3 questions. So as long as you memorize what the answers are, you're fine.
Shoot, what's that one? 3. There we go. Okay. That last question was how many rocks are in the house. That's
Yeah.
right there.
3.
And
Yeah.
it's 3.
Yay.
My favorite one was the chest one because in English it's just chest, but in Japanese it's treasure chest. So there's 2 characters instead of 1.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
man.
So I always got it wrong.
Oh wait. Or on
Yeah.
Elder.
Oh, and there's also 2 of the kids.
Dead, okay. But yeah,
But
we
now there's
completely
only-
glossed over that.
Yeah, there were 2 of them.
What is this, a link between worlds?
Yeah, once you get the 200, you can leave. So,
Yeah, I was sort of running on autopilot. I completely couldn't remember if I actually got the 200 rupees, or if I just left right after talking to Goron.
that mailbox is also a prime target for
I hate that
people
mailbox.
trying to go
Yeah,
fast.
I always have to think to myself, don't hit the mailbox.
All right, so now there's only one more dungeon, and it's probably similarly broken to
Yeah.
Goron Temple. There's similar levels of messed up.
There are gonna be some interesting threats at the start of the temple too, which is always fun to see. It's a really unintended solution to the puzzle. But right now, the whole island is encased in ice, and each little section you have to hit twice, and you have to wait for it to come to a full stop before you can hit it again. So really, you just are trying to like hit 2, and then hit 2 again.
Yeah, this is pretty easy, but the enemies flying around can be really annoying.
Yeah, these like flying eyeball things. There's 2 sets of them, and each one if they hit you does a harder damage. So thankfully, once you're done with the 2 sets, they don't come back.
Okay, so that's over. And so once that happens, you can finally get onto the islands. And right on the start of this island, there's this logic puzzle that you actually have to go through. Basically, the whole plot is that there are 2 species on this island. They're the Anuki, which are the supposedly good people, and the Yuke, who are the bad ones. And one of the Yuke snuck over to this half of the island and basically kidnapped one of the Anuki and is disguised as him. And we have to determine which one of the Anuki is this Yuke by going around and just talking to all of them. And all of them will be telling the truth except for the Yuke, who will be lying. And so by basically just process of elimination, you can figure it out. But it's always the same which one it is. So we can just kind of... you do have to still talk to all of the Anuki to be able to indict any of them.
I wonder which one it's gonna be.
I don't even remember the names of any of these.
No, I have no idea.
Just the one that the one that's actually the
I don't
unique.
even know his name.
I
What's
think
the
Aru.
Yeah.
Aru?
Oh,
Aru.
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 I've always just
Yo.
remembered that one.
Anyone here like dogs?
Franker C.
Yo.
I always find it cool that the Anukis are the ones that give you like a puzzle from their species. It shows up in Spirit Tracks as well.
Dude,
Oh yeah, there is a logic puzzle there too.
that is the best Twitch name I've ever seen.
Yo, can we get a Franker C in the chat?
Holy
Can we get a
moly.
Frank or Z in the chat? I
Can
would
we
love
get
to
Frank
see that.
in the chat? That is the best Twitch handle I've ever seen.
So yeah, now that we talked to all of them, we specifically left the one that is the culprit last, because we don't have to go through an extra loading zone, and you can basically claim he's the culprit while in the room. In Spirit Tracks, you have to leave the room and re-enter to start the logic puzzle, but this one you can just stay in the room.
I like that bit of dialogue there. Celia, your fairy's basically like, "Oh my god, he's gonna eat us," and then he's like, "No, that's gross. I'm just gonna beat you up."
Yo, look at all
I
these
like that
dogs
one.
in the chat.
Dude, it's all because of Can We Get Frank or Z in the chat. He is the hero of Zelda Speedruns Marathon.
So yeah, now that the logic puzzle is solved, we grant access to the Yuk territory. And the Yuks are currently being possessed, and they're technically the bad guys, but they're actually not bad. But we do unfortunately have to defeat 6 of them right here, and in order to defeat them, you have to throw a bomb at them while they are inhaling. This causes the bomb to explode inside them, and you can just either clean them up with like a spin slash hammer, or just multiple hits rather.
Yeah, I usually do a spin attack and 2 jump attacks, or a 2 spin attacks and a hit.
One thing is you do have to watch every single death animation of these things. If you do happen to get one of them off screen, you will be able to deload them before they die, and you'll kill these 2 and wonder why the heck it's not advancing. It's because one of them is off screen still in their death animation.
Happens to me all the time. I was so mad at that.
So like
Right here.
you'll go back and like find out which one it is and just like it randomly completes.
And right here we have the brown ukes, which are a little bit more random. Basically, they have 2 different things they can do. They can either start swinging at you, or they can do the blowing attack, which is what you want. So I got decent luck there. They can choose to do the swinging animations many times as they want, so...
Yeah, they're not friendly.
I think the first 2 rooms of this dungeon are the worst. And after that, it's pretty good.
So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be potentially using this boomerang to get on top of one of the switches, and then from that using a bomb shoe to hit the switch once more, even though we're on top of it. What this does is we're able to get past these red barriers and activate them. And on the next floor, there's also a red and blue switch. Fun thing is about the red and blue switches is that they're synced up across all the floors. So by activating this one, we can actually skip the puzzle to get to the next switch, as well as just like movement in general.
So it's a lot faster to hit that switch like that because, yeah, it skips a puzzle.
And like Seal's like, oh, what is this switch over here? How can we hit it? No joke, it's... Even if you fall off the blue, like if you were to stand on top of the blue squares, you can still activate this switch from like behind them. There's a way to clip a chew up on it, so... Yeah. Real nice. here's the mini boss. Mini bosses still in this game are just in their force fight. There's gonna be one normal look and one brown yuk. The one normal look yuk will be inhaling right away, and the brown yuk will probably swat away the bomb. It happens all the time. The brown yuk is the one that takes the most time.
Nope, you got good RNG.
Yo.
So I think this might be a gold for me. I don't have my splits up, so I don't know. But that was a very solid segment.
That was pretty good, yeah.
They both inhaled.
Would have been faster if you used the hammer.
What?
Look at this guy.
Sorry, who has record again?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, the second half of this dungeon is like, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot different than the first half.
The second half tries to use the hook way too much, and even still, the uses aren't like that special. You're just grappling to ledges to get over gaps you couldn't get to originally, as well as like pulling ledges and like making tight ropes. It's still required because you do have to use it to unlock areas, but for the most part, we'll be using it just to clear gaps and stuff. Yes. So you can just kind of like put hammers over gaps, and there's nothing stopping you from doing it. It's just how the game is programmed. But up in the top right corner, there is a red and blue switch. You can actually hammer clip inside on the wall to pull the hammer into the wall and skip the small key. And
This hammer glitch is really finicky, though.
yeah, you can do it on this like snake statue thing, or you can do it on the far right wall. It's still the same process, but the spots are really picky.
The grapple's really good, actually. I like it a lot.
A good item.
Shame it doesn't get too many uses. Nah, yeah, the arrow shot's funny. If you don't scroll your screen up ever so slightly, you can't actually hit that, and that's what happened there.
Yeah,
It's
I think the
unfortunate.
arrows just like unload or something as soon as they leave the screen.
Yeah, I think the switch might unload, actually.
No,
And,
I don't.
Because
Maybe, I
you
don't know.
can shoot enemies that are off screen.
So this switch in particular is timed. He pulls it just enough so he can get past the time door. Ooh.
You can use hammer glitch here. It's actually kind of weird. You don't have to buffer for this one because the switch is so close to the wall that you can actually get it without doing a buffer.
It's
I don't understand this trick, honestly.
you
You just
stand in
gotta
the
go.
corner and
You gotta go really fast. Also, you're hitting too low.
yeah, you want to aim to the top of the
There we
switch.
go.
But you gotta go really fast.
Like I said, you only get like a couple frames of input to get over the edge.
Aaron, go to sleep. Go to bed.
Good night, Aaron.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been so tired for this commentary, dude. Every couple minutes, you'll just hear me stop talking. I just lean back in my chair and go, "Oh my goodness, I'm exhausted."
Yo, spoilers for the Spirit Tracks from in chat. A little unintended mechanic. You can kind of use. Well, it's not really unintended, but it's not the intended solution to like this whole room. But you can use the grapple as like a catapult almost, and it just skips having to walk across a tightrope.
I think that is the solution, isn't it?
No, you can walk up across another tightrope,
Yeah, there's a
and
different
then
solution.
there is another spot where you can do the jump, but you can do it way earlier.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. I thought you were saying spoilers for Spirit Tracks Run when I talked about how tired I was.
That's what I thought too at first.
I mean, you could be tired for that run. Do I need to pull up the English version and do the one for you without ever practicing for like months?
No. It's alright. It's alright. I'll do it.
Alright, so here we've got the boss of this dungeon, which is two-headed Gleeok. And it's a relatively consistent fight. There's a little bit of RNG based on how many times each of these heads jump at you, but it's mostly pretty consistent.
Shout out to a very classic Zelda boss.
Yeah, Gleeok's been around since Zelda 1.
Yeah, this fight is totally consistent. It should go the same way every single time.
The only difference is every time these heads come to attack you, they can chomp up to around 3 times. One
The
being
first
the
phase
least.
is 2, and then the second phase is 3.
Oh, alright. But the most they can chomp is like 3, and that's... You don't really want them to chomp 3 times, you want to chomp once. These ice blocks too, the way to advance to the next section is having all these ice blocks gone. So normally you just let them like fall back to the screen and they'll hit the wall and break. But if you break them before they get to the end of the screen, you actually advance the fight a little bit faster than it would go.
Oh, actually, I didn't know that.
You learn things now. You can save those 3 seconds, Ben.
I know. I can see those 3 seconds.
It's a lot harder when the second time it comes around because there are rocks that you have to hit twice or spin.
Yeah.
That's the one that you can't advance it as fast. So once the tsunami goes away, Gleeok will come down and destroy 2 of the pillars. From there, Hornlitz is going to be waiting for them to chomp up to 3 times, or as many times as possible. He's then going to throw a bomb, do 1 small hit with the hammer, and then 1 big hit with the hammer. As well, as he pulls them in. And what this does is it instantly kills one of the heads. Let's see if
This
he does
is a very specific amount of damage to but it doesn't kill one of the heads actually.
It does. You hear the kill animation, but the game doesn't want one of the heads to die because there's still
Right.
1 tidal wave to go. So instead of killing it, it advances to the next tidal wave, which skips having to watch the second head do the whole chomping thing.
But basically, we do a very specific amount of damage to kill them before the cap.
That could have been.
Oh. It happens.
Yeah, honestly, that's not terrible.
Yeah. The red one can't actually chomp you because he's already dead.
I did not know that he was already dead, actually.
Yeah, so it's the same
Yeah, so
process.
right here, literally, I just have to do 1 attack on the red head, and it'll die because it's technically already dead.
That's the last dungeon.
So now we have all 3 pyramids, and the 3 pyramids are what we need to smith the Phantom Blade, and then we'll turn into the Phantom Sword a little after that. But before that happens, we have to pray that Jolene's not in our path.
No, actually, you want Jolene to be in your path.
Well, for the most part. You don't want her to hit you on your way up.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't want that to happen.
Can you underflow the... I don't think you can underflow it, you just can't kill the boss right up, like, in that one phase. The game just doesn't allow it. You can, however, glitch your heart's meter on Spirit Tracks with a nice red potion. That's a fun glitch. It can crash your game too.
Wait, Spirit Tracks has a glitch?
Yeah.
No, impossible.
There's no
if
way.
if you're damaged enough and you drink a potion, and then as the potion is refilling your hearts, pick up a heart. It glitches out your hearts because it's not supposed. It doesn't. It's unsure rather how many hearts you're supposed to have, and it can just like kind of max your hearts out to a point where it crashes your game. But your hearts are still like
Dude,
at this
nice.
specific value if you take any damage or get any more health.
That was a nice picture you drew there.
I realized I was drawing the wrong one, and so I was like, wait, no. Oh goodness, this is, I've never seen that before.
She spawned instantly.
Is she close?
She's already there. Like,
I've seen that. It happens.
She normally takes forever to appear, but this is
Yeah,
gonna be
you
actually
just-
kind of risky.
Just
You're
kind
gonna
of
have to jump
avoid the.
missile. So this is actually a difference from Japanese and English. This is the other difference. For some reason, Jolene spawns right there on Japanese after beating all the dungeons. But on English, she's not even on this map. You have to save warp, and then she spawns in the southeastern corner of the map. And so after going to Zal's island, you have to save warp, go all the way down there, and then go all the way back to the island. And
But you
it's
save warp
really
back.
slow. What? You can
You
save
save
warp?
warp back, and then it
You
saves
save work back after
some more
doing
time.
Jolene.
But yeah, it still
Oh,
loses
actually.
like a minute and a half or 2
I don't
minutes or
think I
something
ever
like
did
that.
that. But yeah, so it's really slow. But on JP, Jolene's like right there, so it's way fast.
Oh no, I hit the mailbox.
Oh no!
Dude, really? Oh, so close. Like end of the run too. Like
I know, man. So no, we actually have to hit the mailbox here to progress the plot. The letter that we just got is from Jolene, and she's basically saying, "I want revenge for all of the times you've beaten me," which is a grand total of 1 in this run. But yeah, so basically we just have to go and fight her, and that'll give Zaus enough time to forge the Phantom Sword.
yo, nice signature by the way.
It's
Yeah, love
it's my
that.
signature.
That's my signature too. You stole it.
Hey, I guess you did run it first. So yeah, Jolene is literally right here. She's gonna notice me right away. So I literally just need to towards her. She'll board me, and then
She'll board you.
Ooh.
okay, I said that wrong.
Slow down. This is a Christian anime.
So the fun thing about this fight is before we were hitting her with our sword to manipulate an attack, here we're going to be using the hammer to dish out hits ridiculously fast, and what we're doing is basically just forcing her into doing an action, and because we're not close enough to her for her to like slash, she will always charge us.
Her charge attacks during this fight are also a lot faster, so dodging them is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I've started doing rolls to get away from them because they just haven't been working recently. I just haven't been able to dodge it recently.
And
She
you do have to do
also,
a 4th hit here instead of 3 on the first one.
yeah, she picks up her sword.
She's the next final boss. She's not ready to give up yet. And then you hit her once and she's done.
So yeah, overall that was okay. It could have been better, but it wasn't too bad. It's quickly, so.
So yeah, in old runs we would save and quit here, but because Jolene spawns in the north quadrant, you just sail right back to Zal's island. But you're really not. You haven't moved anywhere at all.
So it's way faster. So that's the main reason why Japanese is faster for this game.
Yeah, that one saves about, like, I think it's about almost 2 minutes. It's not quite.
Almost 2 minutes, yeah. And then
Yeah.
combined with the Cyclone Slate difference, it's like 2.5 minutes faster.
Yeah, Cyclones alone save around 30 seconds.
I'm also really embarrassed because my world record run completely missed Jolene, and I had to do the English strat. And so I lost like 2 minutes in that one segment.
That's okay. I lost 2 minutes to the Final Phantoms in my run that was 3 seconds slower. So we're even.
Let me pull up my splits. Where did I lose 2 minutes? Well, life split won't even load. Rest in pieces, life split. Jeez.
So now we're going back to Murky Island one last time. We got to get to the very bottom of the Temple of the Ocean King again, and then that is where the final boss is, which is all we have left to do in the run.
Wii VC is like, roughly, we're guessing like 7 minutes faster because
Yeah, it's
each
about 7,
load
I think.
is like faster.
Yeah, it's like, I think I did a frame count. I only did a frame count on one loading zone, so I can't say if they're all the same, but it took exactly 1 second. I think they're all roughly around there.
Don't forget the sword.
Sword.
What am I doing?
Sword.
Sword.
I have literally never done that before.
It's because we talked about it earlier.
It's gotta be. I know, I thought something was wrong, and then I was...
Yeah. Walking up the staircase with the Phantom Sword triggers a Linebeck text where he says Celia's name for the first time, and Celia makes a big deal about it.
So
But
yeah,
you realize Linebeck is a pretty cool guy.
my favorite character in this game.
He's probably the hidden final boss, TBH. Alright, so looking at my splits, I just lose a ton of time early game, and I lose a minute to Keep His Sisters and a minute to the Phantom Sword split. So yeah, there's my 2 minutes.
Can't believe I did that. Normally my splits actually say Phantom Sword, and so whenever I'm looking at my splits,
Same.
I'm like, oh, Phantom Sword, okay, gotta go get the Phantom Sword.
Same.
But I don't have them I don't have splits open.
Jason Gu was the first person I picked that up from. He was the first person to put a Phantom Sword split, I think, because most people had a Phantom Blade split, but it soon changed to Phantom Sword after he did that, and then I followed suit because I did it as well. I was like, okay, yeah, I need to stop going autopilot as well.
I only had it because I thought it was like a good pre-Temple of the Ocean King split.
215 isn't bad. For the amount of time that it gets rid of once I go in the
No, that's pretty
halfway
good.
point.
Yo, I'll be right back.
Alright, so yeah, this is the waypoint we set way earlier, probably like an hour ago, more like an hour and 20 minutes ago. But this allows us to skip the majority of the floors, and because we have all the final items, we also unlock all the secrets and like shortcuts. Right off the bat, there's a chest here that you can actually grapple to. This skips going around the whole like bottom portion, as well as the cycles are all set up perfectly, so you can just walk to the next floor.
I'm always so nervous that I'm gonna trigger the first blue phantom here.
Even
Oh, he
if
didn't
you
even
do,
see me.
yeah, even if you do, it's the same thing as the first one.
Okay.
So yeah, now you would be able to use a bomb choose on this switch, but you can also use a hammer glitch, and the hammer glitch is faster, purely because you don't have to pull the bomb chew up, draw it, and you can just do it instantly.
I lost a minute to that one once. I literally just sat there failing the trick failing the trick for 1 minute. It was not one of my prouder moments with this game.
Hammer glitches are hard in general.
They aren't frame perfect, I don't think.
No, but they're still tricky. Oh, you actually don't kill this phantom. Oh, you do, just with an arrow.
Sorry, yeah, no, I do kill the guy. I keep forgetting sometimes that you can actually kill phantoms now that you have the phantom sword.
So yeah, the way this room works is we still need all 3 gems, but thankfully with this square pedestal we can get the triangle gem very quickly, and by getting rid of the Swift Phantom, it also alleviates any stress on this floor. There's nothing that can actually hurt you, aside from the few, like, things floating around that can steal 30 seconds, which doesn't really do anything to the speedrun. This is the same solution as before. Square, circle, triangle. And once this is over, we're going to be going back down through the last 3 floors.
They go really quickly.
Yeah, because we have bomb shoes, because we have the hammer, we can skip like both floors, and all we have to use the last 2. This is being played on a DS right now. I don't think. Do you have Wii U VC?
3DS, but I do have Wii U VC, but I don't use it. I'm sad that it's faster.
Yeah, this floor is a lot easier than what we had to do the first time we came down here with like the warp band manipulation and stuff.
This floor we can flat out just skip because there's another staircase to the bottom floor that you need the hammer to get out of, but of course we have the hammer, so can do that.
Yeah, this whole 3 floors technically would be the place to get the hammer, but because we did it first, you already have the hammer. Yeah, picking up gems is kind of hard when the phantoms are right on top of it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I normally just take out the grappling hook and just grapple it.
Oh, you can do that?
Yeah,
Interesting.
you can grapple gems.
What? It's okay. It just wasted a few seconds.
Oh. That's strange. Must hit like that weird hitbox.
Yeah, so I actually, with this last phantom here, I'm not going to be killing it, because if I killed the third phantom, there would be a treasure chest that spawns, which would be a cutscene, and we just don't want that. So I'm just going to shoot him with an arrow, because we have enough time to get out of the way. All right.
Hey, don't get hit by final phantoms.
Oh yeah, so fun story. So the next the next floor has a bunch of phantom fights where you have to kill 3 of each type of phantom. My very first streamed run of this, and saw me do my strat for it, and were like, "Whoa, what on earth are you doing? This is so fast!" And I just thought it was the way normal. Like, I just thought, like, that's what I did casually. So basically what I'm going to be doing is after these guys spawn, I'm going to be picking up a red pot, which has basically the same stuff that's in front of most doorways that basically just makes the phantoms not be able to see you. So you can stand on it, and so I throw the pot down, which creates a safe point there, and I jump down, and then you can kind of just kill all of the phantoms right then and there. I'm actually going to try something here.
The old strat, which is from what we said, whoa, it's so fast. We did, yeah, you can throw that thing. But the old strat, you used to lure the phantoms into one spot, and then with the hammer you would do a full charge, and you can, if you stun phantoms with the hammer, you can just kill them instantly. But what Hornlitz does is he just goes around the room and kills them, and that's the reason why it's faster. It's just you don't have to wait for them.
Yeah, and I also tried doing something actually that I've never really tried doing, but that I theorized. And basically, I waited for all of the phantoms to sort of start running away, just so that none of them saw me, because when that happens, that starts a cutscene where basically these fire barriers show up, and then once they stop noticing you, there's another cutscene that plays where the fire barriers disappear. And so by doing that, I just skipped both of those cutscenes, unless one of them sees me, but that didn't happen. So yeah, that's basically, that saved a little bit more time. Coming up with strats on the spot. So that was probably a gold, because that was actually a very good segment. There was only one thing that went a little bit wrong, and it didn't really waste that much time. Anyway, so right here, Sela is going to give you an option where to say yes or no. If you say no, it skips a bunch more text where all of the rest of the fairies come out and like try encouraging you. Or something like that, so like right here. Just say no, and the warp spawns, and then I can just go up to the final boss. Right. So now we've got the final boss, which this is Bellum. There are 3 phases to this final boss, and the first one takes the longest. There are 3 phases to the first, final boss. Or 4, something like that. I don't know.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Technically 4. But
Yeah.
the 2 and 3 are basically the same thing, just a little bit harder. But the way it starts out is Bellum's gonna sink into this purple goo, and you're gonna have to just hook shot or whatever this item is. Grappling hook. Bellum, and get rid of all of his like armor and stuff, which is the purple stuff on him. And then you're just gonna be wheeling on him with either spin attacks or jump attacks. The fun thing about this boss fight is any targeted attack will always be a jump attack, which is actually more damage than a normal slash. So it still dishes out a lot of DPS, just like a double spin would, but it's still technically faster to do spins, but it's more consistent to just do jump attacks. But whenever you damage him from the pool, he will rise up to the platforms and you have to shoot his eyes. The first one, they're all uncovered. The second time, he'll be opening and closing them, and then rising up to again to another platform where you do the same thing.
Yeah, grapple hook is really good for this first part, but what's really dumb about this fight is just when he flies to the top and the eyes on the tentacles open.
Yeah.
Second phase is annoying.
So right now he has 13 arrows. He needs a total of 10 arrows to hit all of these eyes. So he's going to try and conserve as many as possible just so he doesn't have to go for random drops.
Not enough. Nope, I don't have enough anymore. This game.
And these guys don't drop arrows very sparingly, which is kind of dumb because, like, you need them for this part.
So yeah, unfortunately we do have to collect some more arrows, but it only slows down the fight a little bit.
It depends on how long it takes you to get arrows.
Yeah, I didn't get very lucky with the arrow drops here.
Well, the arrows, arrows are, like, not very common. Which is stupid.
So yeah, now he's at it once, he's got to do it again. It's the same process. Except for this time, every 2 hits, Bellum's going to come off the beams and try and smack him, just for some damage.
Yeah, it's a little annoying. I don't really like these phases here because
No,
just a
they
waste
can
of
be.
time. You gotta like run around to try to make sure you're gonna still be on the opposite side of the eyes you haven't hit yet.
This phase can be really fast if you, like, are super attentive, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
One
I mean,
good
it's also
thing about
fun.
one good thing about when he spins though is all his eyes open, and you can actually get one arrow shot before they all close again. But it's still like really finicky. Like this one eye is still open, and you can probably still get it as soon as he comes back on.
Nice.
So after this this part ends, we sort of enter the other part of the fight. And basically it introduces a new mechanic. Basically, Sela just remembered that she is the spirit of courage or whatever she is. And so now she knows that she can make these things called orbs or something. Actually, I don't remember what they're called. But they basically just let us stop time. And so... yeah, basically we just need to wait for her to make one and then pull it up and then draw a figure 8 right at a certain point, right about now. Me. That should be fine.
So yeah, the fun. Nope, you go.
Yeah, so this phase can be 2-cycle, but it's kind of tight.
Nah, it's not really tight
not
at
really.
all.
If you do only jump attacks, you can 2-cycle consistently.
Yeah, I only do jump slashes.
It's also the reason why Celia forgets she stops time is Bellum actually gets rid of that power from her, and you get it in that cutscene where Bellum spits up a piece of her memory, and that's the only way that Link is basically safe from Bellum because Bellum doesn't know where these spirits are. Something like that.
Hey, this next part is really good, and everyone here loves it a lot.
Oh, this is the best boss fight in the game because we totally understand how this works.
Yeah, this is very consistent. Very
This
easy.
section can take anywhere from 1:30 to around like 3-4 minutes. So yeah.
And if you die, like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, death wastes 2 minutes. So
So yeah, we don't understand how this works at all. We don't have a clue.
All we know is that you have to kill or completely destroy every single purple thing on the ship, and eventually they'll stop respawning. The 3 that are in the middle never respawn.
and the 3 in the middle only come up consistently when all the outer portions are dead.
But you can still hit them sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes
like, already-
they'll just come
I've
out
actually-
at random.
Of them, somehow.
Yeah, but you still have one on the left side, which is what wastes you the most time, because you have to make another trip around.
Yeah, and for some reason, once you start moving backwards, you cannot hit the ones on the left side anymore. You have to wait. You can only hit those when you're moving forwards. I don't know why. It's because this boss fight's stupid. That would have been really fast if you had gotten that eye on the left.
Oh,
Yeah, there are
yeah,
2
so
eyes on the left still.
that middle eye is actually delayed. Oh no, it's there.
No, you got him.
Yeah, it's possible to those. I think it was intended that you actually kill all of the middle ones last. But if you kill all 3 of them, sometimes one of them glitches out and sort of stays there, but he's not really there. So,
That wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
That was like a
oops, I just saved. Whatever.
above average.
mid-tier fight.
That was a decent fight.
Plus, you're right next
Better
to the
than
ship.
mid-tier, I'd say.
That's
Like I said.
about what you'd expect to get in a run.
That was like probably like a 2-minute fight compared to like 2:30, which is like the average. Like,
Right,
the
so this is the
God one
Bellum
like,
Beck. Oh,
God, it's like a minute
this is the
30.
Bellum Beck fight.
Be careful with health.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little nervous.
He saved, so he should be fine. But
I guess I did. But completely, I wasn't intending to, but
yeah. So the first one, you actually can't damage him, and then after this, you're granted the access on how to actually kill this boss. But Celia accidentally gets trapped, and the only way to get time spheres is if Celia is on the field. So you kind of have to beat Bellum up until Celia comes out and gets you time spheres.
yeah. Also, shoutouts to this song. It's definitely one of the best songs in the game.
So we're going to be hitting Bellum back a total of 3 times here. It is possible to only do this in 3 time stops from this point forward. But if it's very like damage dependent and you have to like do the right damage values, it's tricky.
It's relatively consistent.
I'm so bad at it. I always get like 5 cycles.
But yeah, 3 is the fastest you can do. 4 is, if you were doing the 3-cycle method, 4 is generally easy to get by. But you have to wait for the eye to open up, and then you can time stop and just wail on them. So
Just-
far, damage is looking pretty good though.
Also a decent amount of RNG in this fight, depending on when the eye wants to open.
Yeah.
I've gotten pretty good luck so far. That does a wholehearted damage, which... Oh no, it does a half-heart, never mind.
Oh, it's been one?
But he can choose to do it twice, he didn't, though. Okay, get ready on time. Or not. Failed the free cycle, which I haven't done in a long time. I think I have one hit left, honestly.
Yeah, you didn't get that last spin attack in, so...
Still pretty close on time though.
Time, yeah. I had one hit left. Alright.
GG.
GG no re. Well.
So that was about a 3:29:51, I think, is what my time should be for that, which is really unfortunate. I'm really sorry for going over time there, over my estimate. I mean, to be fair, I did set a pretty ambitious estimate for my run. I have it in my head that this game is very consistent, which for the most part it is. There are a lot of, like, for the most part, there's a lot of stuff that can go very consistently, but there are some things that just ruin your run. But unfortunately, my skill wasn't quite there, so unfortunately I went over.
I always put the estimate as like 330.
I could get under 325, and even like I had a practice run that got a 322, so I knew I could. But anyways, it's not a big deal.
That ocean floor 4 bad. But well, you know, if you guys, you know, in the chat, if you like steam powered, you know, transportation and 2D anime boy Zelda games, you know, check out tomorrow at 10:30 Spirit Tracks. It's gonna be lit.
If you also
Bring
like
your-
the commentary, we'll be back again with Spirit
Bring-
Tracks.
Bring your popcorn. Bring a lot of alcohol. You're probably gonna need it. I think I'm gonna need it. And it's gonna be great. Is that a JoJo reference? I think that's a meme.
Not another JoJo reference.
Well, anyways, thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun, even with the time. I had a blast. Thank you, Ben and Pokey, for your commentary. You guys did a great job.
Anytime, my dude.
Always love giving information for this game. It's a pretty solid game, and I need to like actually get information out there one of these days. Same with Spirit Tracks. The DSLs are just kind of underappreciated. Still pretty solid games. Dude, he's a whale.
Wow, that's mean. Dang. Alright, gamers, it's been real. Keep it real, fam. Peace. Yeah, like 5, but like actually